Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Vox and Jed Fight About It, the only show on the internet. Period.
All right.
That's the end of that one. That's the end.
In fact,
That's the end of that. In fact,
last week was a very sad day for the world, as they had no show.
they had no podcasts
ever on the internet.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, and then we get into our guest review. So last week, I took kind of a sabbatical. I took kind of like a personal sabbatical, we'll call it. I had sort of a crisis of faith about just like, hey, is content what I like doing? Is this really what I want to do? Because I had a moment because I was like working on something. I forget what it was. I think it was, I was talking about how we need to log into Willow, or like I was planning on logging into Willow because we have this like copper mining thing we need to get done on Willow. And I was like, oh man, that's going to be a real chore to get done. And then I was like, I don't really want to work on that today. What else do I have? I can make a TikTok. I'm not really feeling up to that. That seems like it would be a real pain in the ass for me. I could, let's see, I could work on the YouTube video I'm working on. And it's kind of in a weird spot. That would sort of be a pain in the ass to work on today. And I went, everything is a pain in the ass to you today. Do you even like what you're doing? And I had to like that was like on a Thursday, and I had to like full stop myself from doing anything else ever until I realized like, what makes you happy, you dick? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Last episode, you want to talk about what happened last episode?
No. We'll talk about what happened last episode. So last episode,
okay.
We had a little incident where, okay, so we were already having we were having a good episode. I think we were having a very weird episode. I think the vibe was weird last episode, but I think it was a good episode. Last lost episode, that is. We recorded like an hour and a half of the show, and at that point, at almost the exact same second that it happened the week before, as you'll recall in last episode, where we had like a hiccup in the recording, at the exact same second this week, it happened again. I managed to like fuck it up again and corrupt the recording a second time in a way that I'm sure is fixable. And I was like, okay, so let me make sure this is fixable before we like move on here. And I'd like lost steam with it and gotten so frustrated. I ran it through the thing, and the program was giving me trouble with it and was like, I don't want to fix this one. And I was like, okay, well, next week. Because we get 2 break weeks. That's what we've allotted ourselves, right? I think we've talked about it on the show before, but we used our first break week. Oh, we absolutely talked about it on the show before. We used our first break week during the hurricane in October, and then we used our second break week last week because we just couldn't be fucked to record another 2 hours of show. And so I was just like, okay, that's fine, that's whatever. Because we want to match each year on a clean 50 if possible, because 52 is such like a gross number. Such a gross Michael. Yeah. And especially so I wanted to, You want to talk about the 50?
We want our seasons to be like 50 episodes long. What do you want to talk about on the 50? There's a lot of plans happening on the 50 that
Wait, what happens on 50?
I'm not sure.
We're not talking about any of the stuff that we haven't announced yet. What else could you possibly be talking about?
That's you were the one who brought up you want to talk about 50.
Is the fight at 50? I thought you would want to talk about why we want to wrap at 50. I thought that's where you were headed with just like, there's a nice number and we want to wrap the seasons. Like, I figured you were about to say what you were about to say, so I wanted to like give you a layup for that. Either way.
I see. I thought you were talking about plans and shit, and I was like, that's weird. We
explicitly said that we don't want to announce anything until it's time. But believe me, there are things in the works, and it's going to be really cool, I think. It's going to be really neat. But either way, we had an episode last week, and then we didn't have an episode last week within a matter of seconds. And I was on this like break week thing. The show was like the only thing that I was still committed to doing that week super hard, just because A, I really like the show. It brings me a lot of joy. And B, I kind of had to. I don't want to just miss a week for no fucking reason. Because I've done that in school before. That's like a lesson you learn as a child where you like play hooky 1 or 2 times. And it's like, I'm out of absences, dude, but I got the flu. I need to like pony up and go, I think. You know?
Yeah.
Our school, at least in high school, we had this thing where it's like, yeah, there are final exams. You don't have to take the final if you're not failing and have no absences. That's the goal.
That's wild.
You get up to 3. You still have to take like the end of term. There's like an end of term test, and then there's a second, like a final test that's like optional. And a lot of people take the final because they're failing or because their grade's lower than they wanted it to be. But either way, most people including myself's main objective was you get 2 absences. It was the same system as on the show, actually, where it's like you get 2.
Mhm.
You're gonna miss 2 days in like a semester, and so it was like every like year, you get 2, so you get 4 a year total. And then on that third one, once you hit 3, you've officially capped out. And so the way it would work,
That's a cool
right?
system.
The way it would work is like it would encourage people, like kids to show up to fucking school, especially like high schoolers who have cars and can just not do that if they wanted to. What was I saying? Oh, right. I was saying the system they had was actually really like interesting because it did encourage people quite a bit not to like just fucking skip at all times and try to fucking get out of shit. But it also meant that you still got those absentee days at the end of the semester. So the last week of the semester, they would dedicate Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to taking final exams on Friday and studying on like in class study sessions for the final to like get you ready for it on like that Thursday and Wednesday. You only had to show up on Monday and Tuesday if you didn't have any absences. 1 absence, you show up Wednesday. You still don't have to take the final though. 2, again, same drill, Wednesday, Thursday. Then you're out on Friday because you still don't have to take the final. 3, you're taking the goddamn final. You're there all week, bud.
Mhm.
So, like, to get to the end of the semester and realize, like, damn it, I got the flu in August. Fuck, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna be here all goddamn week. All my friends are gonna be, like, hanging out, fucking playing Xbox and shit. I'm gonna be here taking tests.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always that weird,
That's a neat
like,
system, though.
just because nobody's around either, so the halls are all like dead empty. And this is a school built in the 80s for a town that at the time had like graduating classes of like it had a total school-wide population all 4 years of like 700-800 students. And now the individual graduating classes, like each year of students is like 2,000 each. And so you can imagine a school built for like 1,000 students, like total, having like 1,000 students per year becomes pretty fucking crowded, especially when everybody's got 5 goddamn minutes to get where they're going, and sometimes where you're going is across the fucking building up 2 flights of stairs.
You gotta fucking go, dude. You gotta fucking book it.
You had to pray that you didn't have to go to the bathroom. Otherwise, you were just gonna have to get into class. Like, that's what I would do. I was just like, instead of taking that 5 minutes, I just bolt to class so that I could make it on time, because it was tight. It was tight a lot of the times. If you were going across the building, which, you know, odds are you are, you know, you're like you're shoulder to shoulder with people the whole way. And like, if you're talking to somebody while you walk, God help you. And then like on top of that, so what I would do is I would just like, if I had like a long commute to class, I would just like sit down and then immediately go like, hey, can I go to the bathroom real quick? Like, just instantly. Didn't have time during the break. Can I do that? You know? And it just like, so it sucked for that. But otherwise, I think it was a pretty good system. Overall. The absentee shit. Yeah. Like, overall, I had a pretty good education. When it came to like the adults around me, irresponsible for it anyhow. But we were talking about last week and break days. I don't know how we got to like how high school like classes function, but I just thought it was weird how those are like similar systems. No, they're neat. It's neat. Yeah, it's neat. But like it's just like way off topic. But guest review. Last time last time we had Mixie Mexico on, and we've done this guest review before, so I think we can. We've had a rehearsal run of it last week. Yeah, we recorded the whole episode last week, remember? We're not doing all the same topics. Right. We're not doing all the same topics. I have like pretty much all brand new topics. There's some stuff I want to retread just as important, but like not a lot. It's pretty much all brand new stuff. But we did talk about the guest, because guest review is just a thing we do at the top of the show. Yeah. Speaking of top of the show traditions, Conan O'Brien. Can we talk about Conan O'Brien for a second? Or should I add him to the list and we'll come around after the guest review?
I'm confused on how we get to Conan O'Brien, but sure, okay. we could get to Conan O'Brien real quick.
All right, let me connect some dots for you. So Conan O'Brien quit late night a while back to do a podcast during the pandemic. And then he just never stopped doing that podcast and never went back to doing late night. So now he just does a podcast instead, and it's a pretty good podcast. It's all right. But he has like comedians and shit on. It's called Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. And it's basically just like late night talk show interviews, but like a little more lax without an audience at length, basically. Like same general demeanor the whole way through of that, like kind of like I'm gonna tell a joke and then you're gonna fake laugh at it, and then we're gonna like discuss your character or whatever thing you're here to advertise. But he does this thing on Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend where he ascribes a random, I don't know if he has like an intern do it, I don't know if he does it himself, I don't know if he handpicks them, but like he hands them a cue card that says, I'm insert name here, and I feel blank about being Conan O'Brien's friend. And they fill in that feeling every week. I got a clip from Adam Scott, who's in Severance, which we're going to be talking about later. I got a clip from Adam Scott on the show, probably to promote Severance even. And he was like, I'm Adam Scott, and I feel delighted to be Conan O'Brien's friend. And he sounded disgusted reading it. He sounded like he was choking on it on the way out. And it's such a funny bit. And I was thinking, we need something like that. We need a stupid fucking bit to like link our guests together.
We should.
We gotta like brainstorm on that. I think that could be a really funny thing to have.
It's gotta be something with like fight about though, because like that's our thing. But oh man, yeah. We'll have to think on that more later.
We'll have to think of that more later, but I just wanted to swing that by you and the audience together because I had thought about it earlier and I just hadn't mentioned it because I was like, oh, that'd be fun to talk about on the show because it's kind of a funny topic. But guest review, right? Mixie.
Mixie.
We had Mixie on the show last time, and I think they were just a fine guest. I think they did a pretty good job. Not fine as in like, yeah, they were all right. Yeah. Not good, but all right. But like fine as in like, they did good. They did pretty damn good.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I think it worked out. I think it was a pretty good episode, despite its faults. Obviously, we had that thing last time where, again, the recording cut on that episode, and we fixed that one. And so it did make it out. That last 30 minutes of that episode was actually probably my favorite out of that whole episode. Like that separate 30-minute recording.
Yeah, it was really
because it was so like lax and like it was very untense. It was very un-showtime, and like we were still putting on a show, of course. Like we were still doing the podcast, but like we're doing it in like a very like I don't know if this will ever see the light of day kind of way. And I don't know, me personally, I like watching like behind the scenes and like deleted takes and shit like that for shit where everybody in the cast and crew is very clearly like, this is just not gonna make it in the final product. We can kind of fuck around a little bit here. I like seeing that stuff, just because it like really gives you an insight to like, you know, the people and how the like whole mechanism of the production works. And so I always dig that kind of shit. And so it was fun to have one of those moments on my own where I like earnestly, like, I genuinely don't think this is ever gonna come out, you know, because I very rarely,
we're just kind of hanging out.
Yeah, I very rarely make things solely for the enjoyment of making them. Like, I do that, yes, that is like my prime motivator, but I'm not making whole videos just with the intention of that's gonna sit on a hard drive forever now, thanks, you know?
Yeah, really.
Like, I like to shove it out into the world, and so, like, it just doesn't make any sense to me to, like, I mean, I guess it makes sense to me to do art for art's sake, but
out that we didn't want to. Or didn't
not that we didn't want to, but that we didn't know we were going to. Just it's like a happy little accident, you know, like a surprise baby. But like either way, Mixie was good to have on. We talked about like
a surprise baby.
Talked about like cannibalism a little bit, which was weird. Yeah, we talked about like because Mixie's character. You were like, where does your character come from? Where does your character come from? And Mixie was like, oh yeah, they're like an avatar of like cannibalism. Made by like Cupid
of cannibalism
for the personified love of cannibalism, and it's like what how do you do that?
What the fuck?
You know, that was like a really weird turn. Not that I'm judging them for it. It was just like the rest of it was like I don't like. We had Sakura on the guest before, and they were like, I don't know, I just kind of like plants, and it kind of like I just made an avatar that sort of looks like an idealized version of myself, and then like added some plant theming, and then cut over to Mixie talking about like how they have like Cupid lore and shit associated with like how they came up with their Sona, and that's so cool. That's actually, I find that like super interesting. From like it's cool how different people ascribe like, okay, so there's emphasis in like the meaning of a piece of art, and I feel that still comes through in content to some degree. Art, when I discuss art and I discuss content, I like to discuss them differently because they're made, I feel, with different intent a lot of the time from each other. Like, I don't feel like a lot of content, like most of my streams are not made with artistic intent. They're made to fuck around and have a good time. And so there's there's a difference there. There's a disparity between when I'm trying to make art and when I'm trying to just have a nice time and enjoy myself on stream. But the thing about it is, right, we ascribe like emphasis in the things we make at certain points. Everybody has, like, if you could make a heat map of a creative project, everybody has that like bright white point, you know? There's that like oft touched section of a bronze statue in your brain somewhere, you know? And it's interesting and it's fun because like I was like, I don't know, I need a mascot. Let's make a rat. Let's sit down and make a rat. And I doodled him in 1 second. I took one swing at doodling him. Genuinely, that, like, you've seen the original like drawing of the rat.
Yeah.
That was a like I mean it kind of looks it from like the quality of it, obviously, that like, yeah, you just like snapped this shit together in 2 seconds, huh? But like design wise, actually I'm quite proud of like how much of this character design was there on that first sketch, you know?
Yeah, I think the only thing he was really missing was like the clothing. You kind of didn't go whole hog with the like Kramer until
I didn't know if I wanted to. I didn't know if I wanted to really
well put together. Yeah,
he was just like a little gentleman, a little church boy. You know, he's wearing his little church clothes. He's going to church. That's what he looked like.
He's got like a polo shirt and khakis on.
He looks like he's like the junior pastor. Like you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
he looks like,
yeah, he does.
He looks like he like runs the youth group for the church, but he isn't quite like up to the task of running the main like church yet. I might have a picture of him. Hold on, let me see if I can find a picture of him while we talk here, because that design is so fun. I might even have that original drawing somewhere.
Yeah.
I doubt I'll be able to pull that. But either way, we ascribe different emphasis.
On the show of just like, you know, there's a lot more to me being a robot than just, you know, I like robots and like a quick doodle. Just because like I don't think I've talked about this on the show before, have I? But when I was younger, I was a very quiet and stoic child.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
And I wouldn't laugh.
As in, I don't believe you've talked about it on the show. Not that I don't believe you were a stoic child. What a weird thing to call somebody. I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah. Bullshit. You weren't.
You gave a hella shit about everything. You cared about a lot of shit, dude. What do you mean stoicism? No. Okay, go ahead. You're like a stoic child.
But like, as a kid, I wouldn't talk a lot, and like my mom would make the joke of calling me Jaime la Boca, which is just James the mouth, because I wouldn't fucking talk. I would rarely talk unless it was necessary. And often I would get like bullied from certain people in my life about being like a robot consistently. And like not laughing and not experiencing joy, and that I'm a robot. And as I got older, I stopped, I started being more socially acceptable in the way that I would talk more and I would be more sociable and things like that. But I still kind of carried that with me. So I was like, a robot. That makes sense. It was either a robot or a skeleton.
Skeleton!
We landed on robot, which I'm kind of glad about.
Well, no,
I'm kind of glad about.
Could you imagine the alt timeline where we've leaned super metal with it, and I'm like a fucking like grunge ass rat, and you're a skeleton? I think that's where we would have ended up. Because that's my immediate thought.
Yeah,
it would be a cool theming. I think it almost fits the Fight About It logo already a little bit, because we do have a little grunge about us.
Yeah, it does.
We're a little grimy around the edges, not design wise, but I mean,
I would say.
I mean, like we, like, as characters, like, I don't think my character's grunge at all. I just mean, like, aesthetically, I think the show is, like, decently grunge. I think it's grunge enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's got a hint
grunge,
of it.
Which is why Skeleton was
You're
there,
definitely
but,
way
like,
more
still.
grunge, yeah. That's absolutely the case. But we ascribe different emphasize? I don't know. We ascribe different meaning and emphasis to what part of the work is important and what part of the work deserves our full attention. And some great artists will tell you that, like, it's all just bullshit, and some will tell you that 100% of it requires your full attention. Neither of them are right, neither of them are wrong. It's just all about how you want to go about it, I guess. But, like, the point is, Mixie put a whole lot of thought on, I need a Minecraft skin and a profile picture so that I can get into, like, making content. They put a whole hell of a lot of thought to that, and I think it's really interesting. I think it's neat how calculated that move was, and how calculated that, like, design, that character design is. It's very recognizable.
Yeah.
It's very like they change it a hell of a lot, but I barely ever noticed. They showed like 6 designs last time, and side by side, I could definitely go, yeah, those are definitely different outfits, different designs, different versions of the same character. But they were also clearly different versions of the same character with the same motifs and everything. That I was like, I would never have noticed that they've been changing their design every couple months. Oh my god, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? Kill that thing! Kill it! Kill it! Kill it! Bring back regular Jed! Crunchy Jed must
What's
die!
wrong with me? Oh, I'm crunched out? What the hell? Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Okay, thank God. You scared me, dude. Fuck. But
yeah,
it's
dude,
cool to see. It's cool to see the amount of emphasis that some people put on like different portions of their designs and different portions of their content in general. And I don't know. Makes it all very different and yet very similar, and I like that. I enjoy that very much.
Yeah. There are a lot of people who care a lot about the lore of their character too, like their online persona. And I don't I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm not a part of the lore community very much. Like I am because I'm in Willow, but like I'm not a huge lore guy. So I guess like this robot doesn't have a name other than Jed. We call him the robot, and Vox calls his character the rat, and otherwise it is just Voxel and Jed.
Well, because the thing about it is
there are personas,
Yeah, because the thing about it is, right? So people like Mixie have this sort of nebulous thing going on where it's like, yes, they do use like that as like an avatar of themselves, but obviously that design is also like its own character in a way. But for us, we lack. We've just divorced that, and basically, like we've divorced those from each other. Where sometimes we play these guys as characters, but like we use them like masks in like a mock like stage play, dude. Like in a gaslight theater, we're just picking up these two characters and going like, all right, rat and robot, businessmen this time. Next time we'll do pirates, and then we'll do like fucking we'll do like cavemen, maybe. That could be funny somehow. And like I think that's fun. I think it's fun to try to find archetypes to fit these two characters into. I think it's really fun.
It also
now we have
just like it makes life easier because we're just playing ourselves. Like
practically
the whole time.
That's how I do characters, and that's just how I do characters in general. Though is just like I take like a slice of the pie that is me, and I try to like reconstitute a whole pie out of just that. Like the scary weed blunt. Every character I've ever made is the scary weed blunt.
Yeah.
For the audience sake, I think we've talked about the scary weed blunt before, but I'll mention it again. It's an image where somebody was like, okay, so this is about the point in the blunt where I start getting like high and scared. So I've stopped smoking at that point every blunt, and then put it all aside, and then made a joint that is all scary weed all the way down. And so that's basically what our characters are. We're just like pieces of ourselves extrapolated to their natural extreme, I think.
Yeah.
And that's
like,
fun.
I do that with D&D characters too.
Oh, yeah.
But like, it's
the
much
acting
more noticeable
shortcut
here because this is like almost entirely like this,
Yeah, like it's just improv. But the thing about it is, right? The thing about that is, right? It creates this sort of divorce where, like, Mixie is like, are you the character Mixie, or are you Mixie the person using this as an avatar? And it's sort of just like there's like a clear cut line, of course, obviously, but like from an outside perspective, it's sort of nebulous where that line stops. But with us, it's like there is character Jed and there is Jed the guy. They're very similar, but they're distinct things. And so that's what's so funny. That's where you end up with us, where it's like, I designed the rat as a mascot for me. I didn't design him as his own guy. He's my fucking flesh homunculus, dude. He is a puppet for me to control. And so like I haven't bothered really giving him a name.
I suppose the difference is that we weren't making character personas. Your mouse is on the desktop.
Is it on the it's on the monitor over there. Sorry, I bumped my mouse earlier. I wonder how long it's been up there. Somebody like glanced over and saw that and has been like
getting
there.
Been like fiending about it. A lot of people make their characters for a character reason, or they're playing something, but for us, I think it genuinely just stems from the fact that we were using these as VR chat models for the longest time. So we just wanted the closest representation to ourselves that we wanted. And I happened to
these were literal puppets,
and you happen to lead
at one point.
Furry. Yeah, they were puppet representations of ourselves. Yeah, pretty much. And I think that's the huge difference here, is that we never really lost that. and went more towards like, okay, what is the character of the robot or the rat, you know? Because like divorced from Willow, I don't think I would ever make Jed have multiple doctorates, you know? Maybe when I have my doctorate, he'll have a doctorate in like psychology, but that's because
Just
I have a
describing
doctorate.
one,
Yeah.
Because that's another like piece of the Jed pie that you can pull from, and so maybe he would have one then, but like otherwise there's no real reason to. Like the 7 doctorates is an extrapolation. It's part of that, you know? Where like
it's a bit.
You have 7 doctorates because you're a scientist. You're a scientist, or like you have 7 doctorates because you're like an engineer. You're an engineer in the game as a character because you like building Minecraft farms in real life. Like that's just what you like to do. As like how you play the game. And so, like, you've just worked it into your character, and that all just, like, you went from, I would like to build a skeleton spawner down here, to, I have 7 doctorates and run a multi-million-dollar corporation. Basically, single-handedly. Yeah. You know, in terms of, like, the actual, like, workhorse side of things, you know? And so it's, like, it's funny where you end up.
To do it. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny the places you end up. But it just creates a weird divide. I just wanted to give a little thing about how, like, I wanted to talk a little bit about how, like, that divide exists. And I think that's interesting. I think that's very interesting. I've thought about experimenting more. I sort of do have a name. Like, I'm Voxel, and the rat is also Voxel, but I'm Voxel last name, and the rat is, like, Voxel Ratman, the character. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I distinguish a little bit. Like, if I have to draw a line in the sand and give him a name right now, that's it. That's what I use as a placeholder, usually. Because I don't intend to change my legal last name to fucking Ratman. I have no intention of doing that. I thought about it for the bit. Because I was already going to get my name changed. And I was like, it could be funny. But I don't know.
And you thought about the legal paperwork on that front?
I thought about, like, it's all the same paperwork. First name, last name.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean,
you can change your first name.
You're going into a doctor's office and you have to write down Voxel Ratman. And it's like, is this how I want to be legally known, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I've pretty much ascribed myself the whole rat thing, and so that's fine. Mm-hmm. I've seen real rats named Voxel on my Twitter, and that's fun. Because it's like, it's a very, like, little pet name, I think. It's a very, like, I have a rodent as a pet kind of name.
Yeah.
And so, like, I've seen a couple actual Voxel rats, and they're funny. They're funny guys.
They're silly guys.
But anyway, enough about our characters. Yeah. The Mixie review is where we were. We're still on that. This is one of those fancy little extrapolations I was talking about earlier. Wow. We gotcha. We're still on the guest review. But overall, Mixie answered our questions very well. Mixie was very capable of carrying the conversation, but also knew exactly when we needed to move the hell on from a subject, and it just wasn't interesting for the audience anymore, or wouldn't be. Mm-hmm. Like, they had a very good sense of that. They had a good, I don't want to say media training, but they had a good amount of, like, on-camera awareness, I should say. Because media training sounds super, like, official, where it's just like, no, they know how to behave in a podcast setting very well. You know, and they function well there. And it was good. I had a great time with Mixie. In fact, I get along decently well with Mixie, which is weird because we don't interact, like, ever. You know, because we're just not in the same projects. We don't run in the same circles, so we just never see each other. But, like, on the occasions we run into each other, it's a fun time, I think. We have a nice little moment.
Yeah. I always have a good time with Mixie.
Yeah, Mixie's a good time guy. Yeah. But, yeah.
Speaking of personalities and different versions of ourselves, I thought that was a good transition. So, take it away, Voxel.
Oh, we're talking about Severance now? We're going into Severance at minute 30 of the podcast? All right, so here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. If you're planning on watching Severance, stick around for just a few minutes. If you're planning on watching Severance, don't skip ahead. There aren't going to be spoilers. We have a thing here. So we're doing sort of like a watch together thing, like we were going to do with X-Men. Remember when we did that? We watched the first 2 X-Men, and then we're like, all right, you guys go watch the next 2 X-Men movies. We just
watched one.
No, we watched the second one. We watched X2, because X2 is the one where they're like in like the dam and like the overflow pipe and shit.
Oh,
with Magneto.
Wow.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Those are 2 different movies. I actually like X2 a lot more than the first one, which is weird because most people don't like X2, from what I know. Like, people just don't like that one, and I think it's really good because it's like, I think X2 is good because it's like it's almost all about the characters. Like, from like minute 1, that movie is just about the characters and like, okay, I think Magneto's got a cool like development here. Like they're just pulling these like amazing comic book characters who are very dynamic and going like, okay, not just like willy-nilly or anything, but let's stick Magneto and Cyclops in a room together for a couple minutes, see what happens. Just like give them a minute or two of screen time together and see what happens between those two. And then they used that and they formed a bunch of cool like character moments, and I think that's why X2 is really good. But we're doing another watch-along thing. Similar to that,
one that isn't X-Men.
One that isn't X-Men, one that like we're already pretty deep into. So we've been watching Severance lately. We finished season 1 yesterday. I finished season 1. I started watching Severance on my own, right? This was not last Monday, but the Monday before, I believe. I had heard enough about it, and I had heard that their like season 2 finale was up, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch the show. I don't know. I thought I brought it up that day as just like, I'm thinking about watching Severance to you or Basil, and whichever one of you I said that to was just like, I don't know enough about it to really be that interested.
Neither, you didn't bring it up to me at least.
Oh, okay.
Because I did not hear about this.
Like everybody I talked to was like, I don't know enough about it to really want to get into it. And so I was like, okay. No, I did bring Severance up once or twice because I remember like, I was like, we were talking about like finishing Fear the Walking Dead and like when that was going to happen and whatever. I don't know. It might have been Basil. Who knows? But I was talking about it. Nobody seemed interested. So I was like, whatever. Basil works weekdays and Jed is usually not here from the hours of like noon to like 5 p.m. So I should be able to get away with like watching a 2-season long show on my own. You know, even if it's in 1 or 2 episode chunks snuck in between like working on shit. Or even just like as a second monitor show. It started because I was actually looking for a second monitor show, and then I realized very quickly, based on like the concept of it, that like that is not a second monitor show at all. And so I kind of just got sucked into it. But I got sucked into it. I finished season 1, or I came up on episode 5 of season 1 actually, and I was like, "Hey guys, you want to watch this with me? It's really good. You two have to watch this. It's really good." And you were like, "I'll watch it eventually." And Basil was like, yeah, I'll watch it. And Basil was like actively going to watch episode 1, but couldn't ever find the time for like 2 or 3 days. And I was like, I missed something. I knew I had missed something, like some little details. Like, not that I was confused about the story. Like, I got all the story points, but I was just like, there's too much in this show. There's no way I caught everything. We'll go back around a second time. And so I decided we'd go back around a second time, and that's what I've been doing. And I've been introducing Jed and Basil to my current fucking fixation. It's not a hyper fixation, it's just a regular fixation.
Just a
standard ordinary.
Not a autism one, but
in fact, in time, once season 2 is over, it may become a hypo fixation. Like I don't really care all that much about it one way or another. Wow. I like it as a piece of art, but I am not thinking about it very often. Is that a thing? A hypo fixation? Where you just like really don't want to talk about something ever? You just have no interest?
That's just not liking something. No. I think is what you would call that.
No, hypo fixation. That's what it is. But it's been a good fixation. So this episode, what I want to do is I want to do a little experiment here where we talk about a spoiler-free look at season 1 of Severance this week. And then next week we'll have a guest episode. Week after that, we'll come back around, have another Severance corner where we talk about it. Spoilers in, on the next non-guest episode. And so this will be like an opportunity for like, oh, if you've never heard of Severance or like you have like a vague interest in it, but aren't really like swayed by the marketing for it one way or the other, then like little spoiler-free chat to like whet your appetite on maybe watching it. And then if you decide to, then like come back in a couple weeks and we'll be talking about it with spoilers. That'll give you enough time to watch the season at a regular pace.
Yeah.
And then season 2,
you
was not getting a finale like I thought it was. It was getting a premiere when I had first heard about it a couple weeks ago. And so there's only like 4 or 5 episodes of season 2 out. We're like halfway through season 2 in terms of release. Oh man, I want to say something about the latest episode, but I really, really don't.
Yeah.
But it's a really good show. That's how I'll start this conversation. I'll start with it's a very, very good show. The plot synopsi. We can't do this bit twice in one episode. Synopsis. Is the plural of synopsis just synopsis? I thought it was synopses.
I think so.
Hold on. You asked me how to spell corridor the other day. No, you asked me how to spell homie yesterday.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know that I trust you.
It was one of those words where you write it out and it doesn't look right. Oftentimes I'll be like, yeah, how do you spell like a simple word just to like sanity check myself of just like, this doesn't feel right. You know?
Yeah. Like, okay, let me pull this over for a second. It's, speaking of words that don't feel right, synopsis. We just drop the E, throw an ES on there. You know.
Synopsis.
Which is how you do
Wow,
plurals with a Y at the end. That is traditionally how you would do that.
Put it in and let's hear Google say it.
What's your Google say?
You don't have an audio setup. Never mind.
Yeah, no, the audio is not going to come through for that.
I guess it is synopsis.
It's synopsis. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is anyway.
Huh.
But either way, that's just a word that does not look right. I swear it should be synopses. Yeah. And it might still be C's and not says. It's just spelled says. Either way, though, enough about the word synopsis. But the plot synopsis for the show is kind of hard to parse. It's a real tough read, honestly. Like it threw me for a loop like 3 times. So I was like, I don't know what we're describing here. But the base premise of the show, as it's laid out to us, is there's a company called Lumen Industries that has a program called the Severed program, where in the basement they keep a bunch of employees who have consented on the outside to have their brain split, basically, and have their memory locked behind like a geo like location thing. So like when they're in the building, when they're on the floor, boom, they're like their work self, and then when they're like out of the building, they're not their work self anymore, you know? And so they've basically just created a second persona basically in and of themselves, and that's interesting and cool. And we just explore the effects on somebody that has the effects on the world around them. And there's also a lot of like interpersonal mystery and intrigue about like the company and about like every, like, obviously we're working with very limited information in the same way that like the innies, as they call them, the like work selves are. We're working with that like same like base of information as they are traditionally. We know a little bit more, but like not a whole lot more to where like all the questions are answered. And so like it's almost okay. So the show has a real weird habit of feed the audience a piece of information at the beginning of an episode, and then within that episode or the episode after, the characters find out, like very short succession after. Like you get just long enough to sit with the information and go, okay, that's the answer to that question. That has implications, and you get a moment to think about it. And then when you least expect it, somewhere completely innocuous, the characters are going to stumble into that answer. Not in a way that doesn't make sense. Not in a way that like, oh man, they really just fucking fumbled the writing on this. They're just handing them everything. No, they find it in a way that feels fair and earned and just. It just blindsides me every time. I'm just like, oh shit, this is how he finds that out? Or like, he learns about this here? That's weird. You know? Or, you know, and so it's like, it's a fun experience because it's like, I like to watch media, and I also like to share experiences with people, whether that be like one-on-one together, or like going in blind, or hey, this is one of my favorite like pieces of media. You want to have a look? You know, because it like there's a Doctor Who quote about it about you know, like old shit looks new through new eyes, you know, and so like having a second set of eyes around who haven't seen the thing before usually brings new optics into it. And so not only do you get this little puzzle box of a show that like slowly unveils itself, you basically get to solve the puzzle box and then watch somebody else of like equal skill level also solving the puzzle box across from you.
Yeah. It's a good time. Yeah, because there are several times where I like have brought up like a theory about it that it's like, oh, yeah, obviously it's this. And then you just have to sit there and be like, well, I see how you got there and it makes sense, but that's not where it is. And the only reason that I know that is because I've seen further. You know?
I try not to stomp out theories. The only time I've ever, I think I've done that like twice, and I think it's only for like, is this character who we think they are? Like it was a moment. There's a moment in the show. I don't want to get into it too heavy, but there's a moment in the show where a character is introduced as somebody who we haven't ever seen before, and Jed just like way overthought it and was like, "Holy shit, is that really them? Could that really be them? There's no way, right? They're faking this, right? That makes logistic sense that they would fake this." And it did. He had a good reasoning. But we were on that for like 10 minutes, and I had to, like, I fought it back. That was like one of the few times I didn't say anything until it was like, until it was revealed that, like, no, Jed overthought it. Like, it was just the regular answer. But it only happened, like, 2 minutes after, and I had to go, like, dude, it took so much out of me not to just go, dude, you're overthinking it. Back up. You know? So I don't like to hover. I don't like to helicopter people when it comes to shit like this, because I hate to be helicoptered when it comes to puzzles. I like to just solve a puzzle on my own pace, you know? And it might take me longer, but, you know, who cares? But it's the fun of solving puzzles. It has, like, a thing about it, Severance. It has, like, a thing about it, where it's... Watching it back, it's... You guys are thinking of theories that I never even considered. And, like, sometimes you're, like, shockingly close to the truth. Sometimes you are, like, the furthest off base you've ever been about anything.
Yeah.
And I love seeing those come to fruition. Because, I don't know, I feel like we've got a pretty good head on our shoulders about the show. Because it's fun. Because, like, there are some things, like, who is X character really? I don't even know that. Because they haven't unveiled that in what's out of season 2 yet. Or, like, what's the answer to this? Oh, I know that one, but I'm gonna let Jed riff here and see what he thinks, you know, and see how he gets there.
Yeah.
You know, so I think overall, based on that, like, being able to observe you theorize from, like, a third party, because I know we think kind of similar, I think we are in the right direction with it.
I think so. Yeah, I think we've got a pretty good grasp on what is happening. And I don't know, we could be really off base, or you could be
We got all the
lying
puzzle
to
pieces.
me. Do you think we've got all of the puzzle pieces? I don't know.
Not all of them.
Not
we have all the puzzle pieces they've given us. I don't think we dropped any. I don't think we fumbled the ball even once so far. I think we've been keeping up pretty well with just like, okay, so this we know where all the players are on the board, you know? We know where the dice are going to fall. We know where the last few rolls have been, and we can use that to, like, guesstimate what the next move is, you know? And it's fun to theorize like that. It's really fun, because sometimes I get to, like, sit back while you guys theorize on something, and I don't get to contribute, really, because, you know? And then there are times where, like, you guys, like, go on, like, a tangent about something that I hadn't even thought about, or something that they haven't unveiled yet, and I'm like, holy shit, actually, yeah, hold on, you're right. You got a point.
And, like, the other nice thing is that, like, the intro to season 2, this isn't really spoilery, but, like, we watched it together, and I had, like, paused it for a moment, and I went, wait a minute, what the fuck was that? And I noticed something, and you were like, what, you didn't notice that before? And you were mentioning, like, the room that they were in. But then I paused it.
I thought you had, like, spotted something obvious that was, like, the point of the shot. Because they only linger on that
like,
shot for, like, a second.
Frames. It had,
which,
like,
no, you did.
To a different thing. Yeah,
you did miss the point of the shot. Like, that was the point. I thought.
Yeah, of course.
I had only seen that intro like once or twice, and I hadn't really consciously thought about it. And honestly, most times that I watch that intro, I'm on my phone halfway through it. I don't like the season 2 one as much as the season 1 one by like a mile. So I hadn't really paid it much attention. But Jed just goes, "Yeah, look at this. They're swapping it out every other frame. That's cool." And I went, "Oh shit, I never would have noticed that." And then he went for, like, I thought it happened once and then not again for, like, a frame. But no, it happens over and over again for the next, like, 10 seconds. So I totally would have spotted it. I felt like such an idiot, because I went, oh shit, I never would have spotted that. And then they, like, zoomed in on it happening for, like, a 30-second shot. And I was like, okay, well, fuck, maybe I would have.
Well, maybe I would have, but... yeah.
But, either way,
like,
there's a lot of cool details like that. You still catch cool shit, you know? And I don't know, it feels good. It feels really good to, like... I feel like you've just come in and, like, joined me on, like, a half-solved jigsaw puzzle, and we're just, like, working on it a little bit. We're making progress together now. Extra set of hands and whatnot. It's fun. It's a good time.
It is fun. It is a very good time.
But it's a horror thriller.
Like, different than, like, a puzzle game.
Yeah, it's inspired by... It's a thriller at the very least. I consider most thrillers horror. Is that weird? Is that weird?
It's kind of weird.
Like,
kind of weird, because horror is, like, directly different.
Well, because that scene, I feel like suspense is just horror to me. Like, most of what makes horror is the suspense of knowing something is coming. Like, knowing the other shoe is going to drop and it's going to be bad when it does, you know? Like, I don't know. I feel like, because there's a scene where a character is doing something that they're not supposed to be. And what this could describe, like, 8 scenes of the show, by the way. So this is not a new this is not, you know, by any means a spoiler. There's a scene where a character is doing something they're not supposed to be, and they're being, like, they're, like, under very, like, heavy threat of being caught. and then they're actively being chased, and then it's like I'd consider that horror. I'd consider that scene like more horror adjacent than anything else. You know,
I really would just call it suspense, but yeah,
it might
I don't know, I
like
think
it's
that's
mostly the
just a difference
suspense
on
of it.
opinion.
But I think I would hold the whole show as like, because I think horror, you know, people are thinking like, I think you're thinking like spooky skeletons and shit, but I think horror is a lot more like, it's like, where do we draw the line? Is like Hereditary horror? I mean, obviously,
I've never
yes,
seen
but like,
Hereditary.
it's not pure horror.
I need
you
to.
know? You haven't seen it?
I've not seen Hereditary. No, I've not seen Hereditary. I've not seen.
I've seen bits and
Get Out.
pieces. I haven't seen Hereditary in full though. I just saw it because like Ramble and Wivey, like two of our friends watched it, and when they were watching it, they like were like, "Oh yeah, you guys would love this shit. Check it out. Check out the climax of the movie in isolation." And I was like, "Well, that killed that for me. That killed ever wanting to watch that for me. I think." But I'm far enough out from it that I don't remember the context really. So like, I'd be down. I'd be down to fucking Duo's Hereditary. Yeah. At some point, we'll put that on the movies list, I guess, of shit to watch eventually.
Put it on our 10 billion long movie list.
It's only like 5 movies actually that we need to watch. Like we could knock it out in like a movie marathon if we wanted to.
But what was I saying? Oh yeah, no, I like.
Oh, yeah, you're making a point about Severance.
I guess it is like kind of horror. Like suspense is kind of horror. Like that's where I get the most scary things is like being somewhere you're not supposed to be is like genuinely a horrific feeling because it's like, I don't know when they're gonna come back, you know, things like that. What's his name? Sagan Hawks talks about this in a video, I think. I can't remember which one, but he talks about his first experience with horror was from,
Did you just like gesturing, trying to remember, tap your desk insanely close to your mic?
No, I tapped my desk like actually quite far from my mic. Why?
Oh, that carried very well then.
Loud.
Oh man, I don't remember the episode. I don't remember what video that was under. And then I heard like a very light, like a dunk, dunk, dunk. Like it was like almost at your speaking volume. It was like a little lower than your speaking volume. So it just sounded like you were tapping your desk. It wasn't like horrific or anything. I just thought it was worth mentioning that it's like, hey dude, maybe don't like tap your fucking mic during the show that's like all audio.
No, yeah, it's like opposite of where my mic stands.
You've like never done that either. So like I didn't.
Yeah, I haven't.
Anyway,
but
it's being somewhere you're not supposed to is a horrible feeling. I totally agree. That shit sucks. That is like the worst. That's why like liminal horror sucks so much because it's like you're exposed, but like the person after you is hiding. If that makes any sense, where it's like. You know, I'm in somebody's like office looking for something. They could be back any second. And I won't have time to hide. Like there won't be enough time. So they're gonna round the corner and it would just bam. There you go. That's how it happens. That's just how it's gonna be. But no, yeah, that sucks. That feeling like sucks ass. That like weird exposed like I always feel like a kid in those cases where it's like, oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble. But it's like, dude, you're an adult. Like buck up, dude. Come on.
Yeah,
is it
fucked up of me? Is it fucked up of me for whenever I'm in like a situation like that? My first thought is, what is the excuse to get out of this? What am I doing in this room that is a logical enough excuse?
I don't think that's. I think that's like the natural brain pathway. At least for me, it's just like I'll sometimes walk into somewhere where I'm not supposed to be and do like. Like, 'cause I mumble to myself when I'm, like, alone, and so I'll just walk into a room and go, no, I was just coming by to see if you were around. You know, it's like, I'll just, like, be, like, trying out excuses while I'm searching the room for whatever I need. Not that I'm, like, breaking into people's bedrooms or anything. That was just the most, like, stereotypical example I could think of, like, something, like, being somewhere you're not supposed to be. Ugh, but sneaking around is fun. Sneaking around is fun. But, like, being somewhere you're not supposed to be actively is not fun. Like there's a fun in stealth that like isn't as fun when like you're stealthing somewhere you're not supposed to be, which is like the whole point of stealth.
Yeah.
Which is weird. There's a weird like adrenaline to it too. It's not good adrenaline either. It's like bad adrenaline. It's the scary adrenaline.
It's the like fuck I'm gonna get caught adrenaline. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, Severance. Severance is like
Severance is
it's
good.
a lot of its visuals are inspired by things like Superliminal and like other like liminal horror stuff, but Superliminal was the thing that was cited specifically as and like it's very evident. Like it looks like Superliminal quite a bit. Like down to like the wall paneling they use and the floors they use.
Superliminal, like
yeah, Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller, I think, was the one who said it directly. Was like, yeah, no, I was looking at shit like Superliminal, and I thought that aesthetic was really interesting to explore, and so that's why I decided to make the show look the way it does. And it does look pretty good. It looks really good.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really fun. He cited like a couple other sources too, but I don't want to say specifics and be wrong. Superliminal is the only one I remember where I like actively was doing like a DiCaprio point of just like, oh shit, okay, that's cool as shit. That I think of like Superliminal like got nominated for a couple Game Awards if I remember correctly. Like, but I still think of it as like this gubbo like little indie game, you know, that like nobody would know about really. Like I'm not referencing. I can reference Superliminal to you or like even like Willow folks or like other people in the gaming space, but like I wouldn't expect Ben Stiller to know anything about fucking Superliminal. You know,
that's why I was shocked by it.
Yeah, no,
but yeah. No, the show's a great time, and it goes really into a lot of what makes a person, and at what point do you create a new consciousness. And Vox and I have actually talked about this quite a bit before, of just like, you know, if you were to have an exact clone of you made right now with all of your same memories, at what point does the separation happen?
Day 6.
So like if you die. If
okay,
you
I thought you were
die
going somewhere else with this.
and a clone makes, and you have an exact clone, is that still you? And Vox would argue no, from what I remember, and I would argue probably yeah. But I think it's a fun concept there, you know.
Okay, so, but Jed, imagine for me for a moment. All right, I think where I'm losing you on like those are different entities is like A, they're physically different entities, but B.
Yeah.
If I locked you in a room and like sat you like in front of a TV and was like, here, you just get to watch like an identical clone of you live your life exactly how you would. But you know it's not you. Nobody else ever will because it's indistinguishable from like their perception. But like, you know, and I feel like I feel like even though like I saw you eat a burger today, like I saw your clone eat a burger today, and you got to watch him eat a burger. You haven't had a burger, though. You know, that's where the divergence is when they're two separate entities.
Yeah,
like, the divergence is inherent in the thing.
I guess I agree to some degree. It's just, like, I think it was because the conversation we were having was directly, like, linked to souls and what is a human soul. And, like,
that's a whole other discussion of, like, what constitutes a human soul. Or what could be considered, because we're having a conversation about, like, okay, we both know souls aren't legitimate. Like, neither of us believe that there is, like, a physical, like, actual ethereal spirit that is us. But, like, obviously, like, there's like, an amount of, like, humanity that just can't be really accounted for, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, there's, like, a certain amount of it that just makes no fucking sense as to why we, like, have that level of consciousness. And so, like, I consider that consciousness to be, like, the closest analog we have to the soul. Like, I think that's about as good as it gets. You know?
I like Doctor Who's way of saying a soul, which is, like, it's the story of your life. Like, the things that have shaped your life to be who you are. It's your story. I thought that was interesting. Because they brought that up in, what is that? The Song of Akatan or whatever? That episode.
I don't know. I agree with Doctor Who. I agree with the Doctor Who mentality of it to some extent. There's a difference in thinking about it for myself and thinking about it for other people, if that makes any sense. In that, like, yes, when Grandma passes, she will be just a story to me. Basically, I'll still remember her. I'll know what she smelled like. I'll know what her cooking tasted like. I'll know. You know, I'll know what made her laugh. I'll know what made her cry. I'll know about that time that she used to play a game with her not her like old lady friends where she would like tie a hot dog, like a raw hot dog on a string to a ceiling fan and turn it
real.
on low, and then they try to catch it with their mouths. That's
This
genuinely a
is
game
fucking
that my
real.
grandma used to play with her friends. I shit you not. But like, I just realized, like, as I was saying that shit, that like I have no other time to squeeze that anecdote. That shit's like fucking insane, right? Weird that they had like
That shit's
nothing
fucking
going on in the
insane.
70s, right?
Yeah.
They had such fuck
And
all
she was
going on, and they were
secretive about
tying
it,
shit to the
wasn't she?
ceiling. But yeah, no, she didn't tell anybody. This was like a Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants situation where they did this in private and told no one. And then these were grown women with husbands. And then like the thing about that is, right? They didn't tell their husbands either. They would do it when like their husbands were away on like camping trips and shit. And they like my grandma's husband is, I guess, my grandpa. Yeah, he came home early. He was just like gone long before I was born, so I never really think about him as like my grandpa, I guess. But you know, it sounds like I'm getting choked up. I just had a big swig of my drink while you were talking, and I fucking like I'm burping, dude. I'm trying real hard to make it not audible. But like he like walked in on them doing that and was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" When there's like a half-eaten hot dog on the ceiling fan and like 4 to 5 old women, like women in their like 30s, not even old, just standing around.
Oh man.
Just sitting around. Like they might
We
have
gotta
even
do
been
that.
like,
we gotta actually do that.
I think that would be a funny thing to do. I think that would be a funny like one-time bit. like a good like that'd be a good like drunk
to carry
game.
the tradition.
I feel like you could get a bunch of drunk people to do that. I feel like that's like a 7 beers activity. Is like, can you catch the hot dog? You know. My question though is, was it the same hot dog? Were they all going after the same hot dog, like mouths agape? Like you know, Betsy touched it with her tongue, and then I got the bite. Actually, you know, like, are we swapping spit on this goddamn hot dog? Is this like a germed out dog, dude?
I don't know. It
or are we
depends on
like
the dog.
one at a time?
It depends on how close. I don't know. I'm not really like, I'll eat somebody's food after they've eaten it. I won't like, I don't really care about that. I know you're more skeezed about that.
I'm not like a germaphobe or anything. I just like, I don't like, I see like saliva is very disgusting. And like, I'm not super disgusted by it, but it's just very intimate to me, where it's like, I'm disgusted by strangers' saliva. My husband's saliva, I couldn't care less about. You know, my mom, I came out of that thing. I don't care, dude. I'll drink after that. You know.
What about me, Vox? What about me?
No, that's weird. Like that's the that's the weird. Not that it's weird for me to drink after you. It's just like that's the weird part about it. Is that like I know you about as well as I know my husband, but I guess that it's kissing. It's kissing. Like, all the people who are on my I would drink after you list are people who I've, like, touched lips with before. In some capacity. That's what it is.
That's just bizarre, because it's not,
because I figure, like, you do it once, it's over, right? Like, my tongue has been in my husband's mouth. If I sip after him on, like, a Coke, it's not suddenly gonna be gross, you know? I don't know. It's like a weird thing for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't give a shit. I think you saw it on the Atlanta trip where like Wivey would like finish eating a burger and then I would.
There
just
were like a
eat
bunch
the
of like
burger
half
after.
drank sodas just sitting around, and they were all flat. And I was cleaning them up like the night before we had to leave, and you were like, "I'll drink those. Like, hand me one. I'll take it." You know, just sort of not throwing out a bunch of half empty sodas. And I was like, "No, dude, these are like not only were they like half drank, so like people's lips had been on them. They were also like stale.
I think I did that for the water.
It might have been the waters. It might have been the waters. It was something though, but it was like these have been like sitting, dude. That was the gross part for me. It was like I'd seen you already. Like, if you want to drink after people, that's your prerogative. But like this shit is still water, dude. This shit has been sitting here for like upwards of 2-3 days, possibly.
This shit is still water. About a bottle of
water that's been sitting on like the counter in like a temperature controlled Airbnb for 4 days. Yeah, but it's got like more. It's more saturated in the plastics, dude. You could like, I swear I could taste the plastic more the longer I let like water sit. Ugh. I can taste the plastic in water bottles. It's terrible.
Because I'm the only person who drinks out of bottles in my house because I keep bottles in my room because it makes me drink more water. And so like I'll just have bottles of water that are like half drank by my bed. I'll have like 3 or 4 of them because I'll get a cold one at night, realize I have too many, and then I'll just drink the like half ones after. Oh my god, what? drinking beer in the middle.
Yeah,
You're waking up, walking over.
I'm waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning in a stupor, grabbing a Coors and going back to bed.
No,
I do that with
I'll
soda.
just drink the half-drank bottles. Who cares?
Yeah, I know shit do that with soda, though. Not the half-drank thing. I don't drink like flat soda if I can get away with it, because that shit sucks. It's awful. But like, I'll do that with soda sometimes, where like I'll be really thirsty in the middle of the night, and I like water. I know water won't kick for me as much in that moment, so I'm like a Sprite though. I never go for like a Dr. Pepper or anything like a hard soda or anything, but like a more like syrupy, like caffeinated soda. But I'll go I'll have like a Sprite, like a sparkling water, or like a ginger ale, or like a limeade thing, you know? Like those feel like acceptable flavors to have in the middle of the night. You know what feels like the worst soda to drink in like those dehydrated middle of the night times? Grape.
What?
Any like grape soda.
I don't drink grape soda.
Grape soda's the most like, I like grape soda, but it's the most dehydrating shit in the world. It's the most dehydrating shit in the earth, dude.
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
I don't know, man. Grape flavoring is a big no-no for me.
Me too. I don't really like grape flavoring as much. I don't like grape flavoring as much either, but like something about like you carbonate it and suddenly it's like palatable to me. It's like Pop Rocks, you know? It tastes like Pop Rocks. That's the whole thing. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's a good time. It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
Nice grape soda. It's a very rare delicacy for me. I don't order grape soda at fucking restaurants or nothing, but like, you know, if I'm in the grocery store and I see like, oh shit, they've got like the Purple Crush stocked, I'll grab a 12-pack maybe. You know, if they're on like a good sale, I'll grab an extra and just have some grape sodas or something. You know, it's like a little splurge item is what it is. It's an acquired taste, as in like not one that you acquire over time, but like a craving. You just acquire it very suddenly in the middle of the night. Not in the middle of the night. That's the worst time. We were just talking about that being the worst time to have a grape soda. What's your worst midnight beverage, do you think?
Worst midnight beverage? Oh, man. I don't really have one. I don't keep a lot of weird beverages in the house, but I guess
I would say milk, but like, milk kind of kicks, though. Milk kind of works in the middle of the night.
If it's fresh.
Like, yeah, you get a good bowl of cereal or even like a glass of milk. Dude, I can't tell you the heaven that is wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Lemonade's a pretty bad one. Yeah. But you wake up at like 3, 4 in the morning. The sun isn't up yet, but like there's just a fair amount of light. Like it's not pitch black anymore, but you cannot see the sun. It's not up. There is just like streaming through the windows a little bit. The whole place is like shrouded in a blue. You go into the kitchen, you grab a brownie that was just baked the night before. You take a big bite of this like gooey brownie, and then a huge like swig off a glass of milk, and then go right back to bed. That is the best feeling in the fucking world, I'll tell you. That is genuinely like
such bizarre existences. I'm realizing, who the fuck bakes brownies like consistently enough for that circumstance to happen?
Who the fuck bakes brownies?
Consistently enough for that to happen.
Like once a month. Like once a month, you bake a brownie. You make a cake or something. There's always a baked good floating around, a muffin, a cinnamon roll, something.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
We keep muffins in the house, but they're store-bought. And we eat them for breakfast.
You get like a box of dough, and you baking is so goddamn easy, dude.
This
from the box,
happened.
There's no reason to know. This does happen. This happens all the fucking time.
Not in my house.
Okay, I thought you were insisting this could not be a thing. But that's weird.
But like just in general, it's weirder to me that you just have baked goods consistently enough.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. I'll just like go to the kitchen sometimes and there'll be cookies out. I mean, I usually have to like run it past somebody. I'm just like, hey, are these cookies in here for something? Because like, again, I have a very large family, and so there's always like a birthday or like an event or like something going on, and so that's why a lot of it. But like partially, it's just because my family likes to cook, dude. They like to cook. They like to bake. Big baking. Yeah. Big into baking.
Yeah.
Very low effort, very high reward thing. Not low effort, I should say. There's some pretty extravagant baking, but it's just the thing that they're good at and that they enjoy doing, and that's fun. That's good because I get a nice baked good, and yeah. But it's cool because you just enter you don't know the joy of I'm gonna walk into the kitchen and there may potentially be a tray of fresh brownies awaiting me. That's not something you've ever experienced?
No.
Oh,
no,
man.
In fact, I don't remember the last time I had a tray of fresh brownies.
Well, you should be eating a tray of brownies to begin with, dude. That's far too many.
No, but I think it was my grandma who died in 2015 and she made it in like 2013.
Oh man.
When I was there. Like that was the last time I've had fresh brownies, I think.
Oh man, I remember a few months ago you had a suspicion that you may or may not be pre-diabetic. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out really fucking fast after the move, is what I'm realizing. Because like I eat so much like sweet shit. Like I make so many like I eat so much like there's a fucking pound cake, and there's monkey bread, here's cinnamon rolls, here's pancakes. I actually don't like doing pancakes. Pancakes kind of suck. Pancakes are like an awful thing.
What?
If I could go my whole life without ever cooking another pancake or an omelet, I'd be happy. Eggs and pancakes, like breakfast foods, just suck to cook. They're greasy, not pancakes.
So good at
like,
breakfast.
Breakfasts are messy. They're a messy cook is the issue, and they're like very temperamental. The pancake can sense whether or not you're like a good person and will fight you if you're not. It knows you're like, it knows your morals. A good person? I guess you have good breakfast karma. I don't know, dude. Maybe I just have bad breakfast karma. I can cook a dinner like you wouldn't fucking believe, but like. Breakfast foods are just like bacon is so greasy and it pops everywhere, and then eggs are like, unless you're like an egg sandwich could turn into scrambled eggs for me so goddamn fast every goddamn time. Really? I can't make an egg sandwich to save my life. I can't fry an egg most of the time. I end up breaking it.
Really?
Or like, cracking eggs is also something I have trouble with. Like, I'll maybe I need to get one of those like easy cracker things that we were watching like an ad for the other day. But like. Either way, fucking. We were having a high night and we were watching like a commercials compilation, and we got a commercial for a device that's supposed to help you crack eggs open, but it's called the Easy Cracker, and it sounds like you're just like urging your white friend to calm down. He says it like Easy Cracker,
like, Easy Cracker, and like hand on the shoulder, like that one like reaction image of the guy just kind of grinning at the other dude, just like hand on the shoulder,
Easy
grinning.
Cracker.
Easy Cracker.
Easy Cracker, yeah. But no, I struggle with breaking eggs sometimes, which again works against the baking thing occasionally. But no, it's just that's bizarre to me. I guess we do live like very wildly different lives. We were just talking about this the other day, speaking of the move, about how like there might be like a culture shock moment a little bit of just like we live in different parts of the country in very different households, and so like it's going to be interesting to see where like the little divides like this baked goods thing lie, you know, that we just haven't considered. I'm sure there are like a million of them we haven't even thought of.
Yeah, because there are just cultural divides like that, and I realized that it might just be my family. Because like my one of the people who I know who's on the East Coast also does the thing that we were talking about, where it was like, you have a meal that it's like, you know, you pick up like. I don't know, mac and cheese, and you'll have some pork, and you'll have a potato.
Yeah, that's what a meal is, dude. I'm not crazy. Wild. That's just what a meal is regionally here. If you're saying you're inviting somebody over for dinner, you would expect like mac and cheese and like a green bean and like maybe a steak or like a cut of like chicken or something. You know, having a meal with a couple of sides. That's maybe wild. Upwards of like 5 different food items on the plate. You can't expect that of everybody. Like you mostly when I go for dinners, I expect like if people are cooking, I expect like a casserole or something, like a 1-item dinner like that, where it's like made spaghetti real quick or like a lasagna, you know, a pasta or a soup of some kind that's like really easy to prep, or not really easy to prep, but really easy to not have to juggle 7 different food items. At different times, but no, you get the green beans with the bacon bits. Difference. You get the mac and cheese with the little like you get the breading in it to like thicken it up.
Like I've had all of these separately. It's not something that I would ever like on a normal Thursday night think of this as dinner. You know, I don't know.
I've heard this described before as like coal miner food. Like this is like blue collar. You come home from like a 9 to 12 hour shift in the mines, and you're like. Your like wife who's been taking opioids all day to like get through the fucking day has prepped you a meal of like steak and mac and cheese and green beans and a big slab of bread on the side. Enjoy.
When I think of like blue collar food, I think of like a big ass pot of Hamburger Helper.
Oh man,
you know,
that's
like
not
one pot Hamburger Helper.
That is, but it isn't. Like that's part of it.
It isn't.
It is, but it isn't. In that, like, that's part of the equation. That's not the whole equation, though. Hamburger Helper alone paints a very sad image.
There have been several times in my life where I've eaten Hamburger Helper.
Same, yeah.
As is, like that's just what Hamburger Helper is. Actually, it's a whole meal thing.
Yeah, it's a whole thing, and it's good. I like Hamburger Helper quite a bit, but like Hamburger Helper every night for a week, I've been there. It's bad. It's real bad. It's real rough, dude. It's one of the better meals to have as like an every night meal, I'd say, because it's like it's a nice flavor that you can just sort of eat, you know, over and over again without really getting sick of it. Oh man,
would be like.
But please tell me, with Hamburger Helper, you're at least having like a slice of bread or something.
No.
It's
got noodles in it. Why the fuck do you need bread?
What do you mean? Why the fuck do you need bread? It's a meal.
I mean, it's got noodles in it. It doesn't need bread.
Bread comes with the meal. That's it. That's the end of the thing.
Bread
period.
Eats noodles.
If I don't think I've eaten a single meal that didn't have any bread in it in the last 12 years.
The noodles, dude. Why are you? It's a like a. Does this not make sense to you? That's how that makes sense to me. Is that bread is noodles?
Yeah, bread is noodles, dude. Bread is kind of noodles. They're both like very like filling and shit. Like I get where you're coming from, but like I disagree. I think.
Huh. I don't know, man. I feel like
Yeah.
I saw that.
You saw that?
I saw your mixer like peek over. But like
okay. That's enough.
I don't know, man. If you have noodles in a meal, what's the point of bread other than like maybe if you're having like a pasta and garlic bread. Bread is good. Bread makes you fat.
You put like a Texas toast with it or something at least. Yeah. Like ideally.
Bread makes you fat.
You're supposed to be fat, dude. Fat people are happy.
I'm not happy.
Yeah, that's because you're ugly, not because you're fat.
Damn.
Those are two different qualities about you. Oh man. But no, fucking. But no, yeah, that's just how meals work. You're supposed to fill up. If you're not, like, what's the point of eating if not to be fat and to enjoy the meal?
I don't know. I think I've just got a really unhealthy view of food, or you do. One of us has an unhealthy view of food.
I don't think my view on food is unhealthy. I have my 3 meals a day, and I show my restraint in it. Like, I'm not overeating, but like I regale in a good meal, dude. I eat and I be merry. That's what I do. That's how I enjoy a dinner. If I'm going to dinner, oh God, Jesus. You know what? It's topic relevant. It stays in. But like, if I'm going to a dinner, that's like an event for me. Even something like a fast food or even like an Olive Garden is like, that's big, dude. Hell yeah. We're getting food. Like you could take me to like Paris on vacation, full paid. I still wouldn't be as excited as if you took me to like a nice restaurant one time. That is way more exciting to me. To just like on like a short-term level of just like, oh shit, we get to go get like Golden Corral now? All right. Fuck yeah. Let's go.
Here's the question. The day that you got married, we went to like kind of a fuck-ass Italian restaurant. How'd you feel about it? Which one?
The meal was fine.
Not that day.
The meal was fine. The atmosphere wasn't great. It was hard to hear anybody, so the company wasn't great either because I couldn't really have a conversation over the goddamn music in the restaurant. But the food was fine, and like even food like that is like I could sit with my eyes closed and my ears plugged and like that, like my nose and mouth being my only sensory input for this meal, and I would have had a good time. I would have had a real good time.
Yeah, I just mean like, so that day you got married and you had food. Which one was more integral to that day?
Getting married, obviously. I thought you were asking me to rate the meal. Okay, I thought we were just randomly picking a meal we both ate together.
I was making a bit of like the happiest day of my life. Yeah, it was a great day. I had
mediocre Italian food.
What do you mean?
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I get your bit now. I was lost on it, so I was still considering the real conversation we were having because it's like, I'm just puzzled. I'm puzzled by your like refusal of bread. You're telling me even if you don't need it,
I like bread.
You're at a meal and you're offered bread. Are you asking why?
No. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I like bread. I'll eat bread.
You don't
But,
ask
like, the
why. A
thing
guy
is
stops you
that
on the street and gives
when
you
I'm
20
at
bucks. You don't
home-
ask him why. You take the money and you go. You eat the bread that's for the table and you live.
When I'm at home, I'm not gonna add bread to a meal that already has pasta, you know?
Why not?
Because it's more bread and I already had pasta.
Oh, you're
And I don't wanna be
considering
fat.
bread and pasta, like, you're considering that food group its own thing. I see. Nah. Each food
Yeah.
item. Hell, I'll add a second pasta. Give me a new pasta. Let me eat a fucking spaghetti and a lasagna at the same time. Give me a fucking risotto on the side. Sure, I'll eat that.
Huh. Wild.
Too
Yeah.
much of a good thing is possible, but like with food, man, I just like I don't have a huge appetite is the limiter on that of just like I don't really like to like I like to eat, but I don't really like have the stomach to eat like that, you know, or the wallet to eat like that. And so like I don't have like an unhealthy relationship with food, I don't think.
Yeah.
So that just leaves one of us.
I guess I just like I have such a thought of just like, you know, if you eat bread with a meal that already has some sort of starch, you're gonna get fat. Like you just that's how that works. I don't know. I was
Why are you
raised
scared
with,
of being fat?
Because I already am, and I don't want to be here longer. That's the other
Alright.
issue, is that I'm the type of person where it's like, people will be like, fuck yeah, I love like baby showers, because you just get free fucking food. You get to hang out and you get to eat food. I don't eat at public get-togethers, because if the fat guy is eating, that's a very different thing, I think. I don't know, man. That's how it feels, at least.
I think you'll get a lot more out of gatherings like that. I think I can kill that self-consciousness very fast because I grub the fuck up when I go places. I will eat the food. I usually don't like to make my own plate.
but, like,
I don't
that's the
enjoy
thing.
making my own plate because that's just like you're shoulder to shoulder with people in like a buffet setup. That sucks every time. Like that part of the meal
Yeah.
sucks anyway. So I usually just have my husband do it, but I'll eat. I'll eat as much as I can, dude.
Wild. I don't know, man. Like I'll have my friends eat around me, but I will not eat unless it is like a you are here to eat. Like if we're going to a restaurant, I'll eat, but if it's a get together where it's like it's mostly just hang out, I'm not going to eat, man. I'm here to hang out. I don't know. That's just like a unhealthy thing in my mind. Or like if there are mints on a table, I won't take a mint. Because it's like, I don't know, I don't want to be the only guy taking a mint.
I'll take two.
Like, fat guy taking a mint. That's wild. I don't know.
There's like a bowl of mints on the table. It's not like each of you get a mint. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, no, it's like a
one of those
bowl of
situations where you're
mint on,
walking
like,
out of the
the way
restaurant
out.
and they just like have a bowl out there on their way out. Yeah. Like at the host stand. Yeah, no, I'll take two. And I'll pocket both of them and I'll eat them later that night. I don't even have one right then. I like the mint. I
Wild.
cherish the mint.
I don't know, man. I think that's just an unhealthy thing on my end. Then is just like
I just think you have a lot of. I don't think it's unhealthy as much as you just have a lot of insecurities about it. I think you just have a lot of food-based insecurity that not needs addressing necessarily. Because I guess you eat enough, so it's like not an issue. But like, you know, could do with a look. You know, like one of those like car made a weird noise, a light came on and then went off. I don't know which one it was. I might maybe need to see a mechanic, but I could probably keep driving and be fine.
Yeah. Oh man. But oh god, what were we talking about? What was the topic with Severance? We were talking about Severance.
Yeah, we've gotten away from Severance. This has been a minute or two. Yeah,
here.
we've been down a rabbit hole, dude. This has been a good episode. We've been rocking it.
Yeah,
the whole time.
Severance is good.
Yeah, Severance is pretty good. That's our Severance talk, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the Severance segment of the show. But no, go watch the first season of Severance if you have any interest in it. We're gonna talk about it, spoilers included, next time or the time after. I think time after next is when we have a guest next week, so we won't be able to really talk about it then. So we covering shit with a guest. But we will talk about it in the future. So if you got any interest in hearing about that, then that's where you can do that. But speaking of
currently airing series, though, Invincible is coming out. The third season of Invincible is coming out. And what do you think of it so far? So after the first season came out, I actually went on a deep dive about the comics. I
remember.
So like I know pretty much the entire plot of Invincible.
Right.
So I'm just waiting to see it animated, but you strayed away from it. So how are you feeling about the current plot of Invincible?
I'm liking it. I think we're moving a little slow now. I think that last episode, the most recent episode of the current season, is a little slow. But season one is really good. Season 2 is a solid improvement. It seems like they're leaning away from like good animation and leaning into getting all they can out of their voice cast, and like that's okay with me. Like a lot of people are complaining about it because it's like an action cartoon, and so like there are points where it's like, man, that
are like
that looked choppy as hell. I still think the fight scenes look okay though. I still think they look all right. They look fine.
Yeah,
like, I don't have anything wrong with them. Like I don't know.
Fine.
I'm just not really here for the fight choreography. That's not really why I'm watching Invincible. You know?
Yeah, I guess.
If a fight scene goes on for more than 10 minutes in a show and the protagonist is involved, I just assume they win and zone out until the fight is over. Genuinely.
Oh yeah.
If I'm not that interested in the fight choreography, if I'm not that interested, I like Dragon Ball because Dragon Ball, you're there for the fight scenes. But if like I'm watching like the last hour of the Avengers, like the actual like Battle for New York section, I could just leave that without ever watching it. Like I could have just watched the first half of that movie and gone, the good guys win in the end. Goodbye. You know, fill me in on who dies, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Fight choreography can either be like it's a make it or break it kind of thing.
If it's
where it's like, honestly,
I mostly, it's not even the fight choreography every time. It's more how it's shot. It's the cinematography of fight scenes that really strikes me. I like when they do interesting shots, when they do like a tracking shot on like a fist, or like a bunch of smash cuts during a fight is interesting. But if it's like a couple, like swapping between 2-3 angles of the same fight happening at a distance, I don't like it. I'm not into that. It's just not interesting enough. Like, this is cinema, not stage play. If I can step it up, dog. You have tools at your disposal you're not using here. And I always feel bad about that in creative projects. I try to keep a good... I notice it in a lot of other people's work because that's one of my like core tenets is just like, if I'm making something for YouTube, make it for YouTube. Find out exactly how, like, the best way on the medium I'm working in currently, find out what the strengths of that medium are and make sure I'm using them where possible. You know?
Yeah. I don't know. I think as of good fight choreography, I can't think of many, but I think that the first one that comes to mind, surprisingly, is the third Star Wars movie, the prequel. I don't know. Maybe that's a me thing, but I think that the prequel's fight choreography is actually really fun.
Yeah.
I know you don't like Star Wars, but
not a huge Star Wars guy. I think some of the Star Wars choreography is really cool. It's very iconic, of course, and so like there's a lot of it, you know. And lightsabers are cool and fights are cool, whatever. But I think my favorite fight cinematography, like my favorite like piece of media with fight scenes in it, I think is Upgrade, a 2019 film about a paralyzed man who like has an AI bridge the gap between him and the rest of his body so that he can like it's like an indirect like, all right, I'm gonna like, you know, fucking bot lift my arm, and then it lifts his arm. Like, he's in control, but he can also just put the machine in control and go like, hey, go make me a smoothie. I'm just gonna like zone out for a minute. And then his like neck down will just be doing that, and he'll just be like, you know, ahead chilling. Like, it's still attached, of course. He's not like headless, but it's really cool because the machine is in control of his body. It chooses when it listens. It is an intelligent machine, and that's part of it. It's a thriller action thing about like his wife got killed, and he wants to like look into the murder, and he's using that to like go beat up gangbangers and shit and find out who killed his wife. And it's actually really cool because the fight scenes. The thing about the fight scenes is because we're viewing the story from this character's perspective, and we want to feel divorced from his body but still with him in his head. All of the shots in some of the fight scenes. Or some of the shots in some of the fight scenes, all of like the lengthy fight shots are shot as like tracked with his head upright in the center of frame at all times. So the entire world is just moving around this guy's head with very little input.
Cool. That's really cool, actually.
It's really cool. I'll show you like a scene from it after the show. I think you would very much enjoy the look of it at the very least. I don't think the movie is anything to write home about. It's all right sci-fi. I actually liked it quite a bit when it came out, but like I rewatched it recently and I was like, this is all right. This is okay. There's just been a lot of like cyberpunk media recently, and so like it's the aesthetic of the time now, and that was like not an early adopter because cyberpunk's been popular since like 2013-ish, but like, you know, as an aesthetic, it's been coming into vogue since then. But it's had a recent like pop, and that was like one of the first things to actually release of that more recent pop of it, and so like with shit like Edge Runners coming out, I don't know if I can recommend Upgrade as highly if you're just looking for a good piece of like cyberpunk sci-fi, but if you're looking for a good thriller about a man who isn't in control of his own actions and has some kick-ass like fight scenes and like solves a murder, then that is for you. If you have like an afternoon to burn and just want to watch something, I recommend it. Good watch.
Mm-hmm. Another good fight movie that came out in 2021, I think, was Nobody with fucking Bob Odenkirk.
Oh, Nobody
really
with Bob
good.
Odenkirk. They're doing the second one of those. They're doing another one.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Which is odd to me.
No, but Nobody was a really good time. People were kind of mixed on it, but I liked it at least. It was kind of silly, but it's an action movie.
I had a hard time believing Bob Odenkirk in that role just because he was in the midst of Better Call Saul at the time, and so like not that Bob Odenkirk isn't a good actor. He's a great actor. I've seen him in more than one role, and like he's often typecast though. So like there's like an image of a role Bob Odenkirk should be playing in my head, and that is not it. He should not be in like a Bruce Willis position. But he played it well.
Yeah.
He played it well. I just couldn't get over my preconceived notions of what he as an actor can or should be doing, I guess, enough to like really, really enjoy it. I still had a good time with it, but not my favorite action film for sure.
Not able
good
to
fight
like
scene.
suspend your disbelief on Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, Bob Odenkirk is a particular sore spot for me on suspension of disbelief. But Invincible season 3 specifically, you asked me how I was feeling about it. Last episode, kind of slow. Already said that. Other episodes, pretty good. I feel like a lot happened last episode interpersonally, but like the actual overarching plot didn't really move. So still a good episode.
Yeah.
Just not quite what not quite like plot forwarding. Anyway, Severance has spoiled me for that though. That show moves at like a mile a minute, dude. Like you're not like I don't know if like you're picking up on how fast this shit is. Like I don't know if it feels as fast to you. It is. But it's like, dude, do you understand why I started this and then was like bitching for an entire Fear the Walking Dead session? Because I went from watching an episode of Severance to watching Fear the Walking Dead. I was like, oh my god, we're still sitting in a hotel room. You know, it's been 45 minutes.
Nothing but sitting in a hotel room. Yeah, no, Severance is pretty quick.
I mean, it's usually in like a few principal locations. They don't usually like. It still takes place pretty bottled. But like, you know, they swap them out and rotate them and introduce new places often enough that like it's visually still engaging. It's much more visually engaging. I'll say that. It's very engaging story wise as well. But yeah, no, Invincible's all right.
Invincible is a good time. Yeah. Overall, I think season 3 has been good. They've been adapting the comics all right.
Yeah, how's the adaptation?
The adaptation is okay. They're kind of moving at like it's weird because they'll move at a snail's pace and then they will jump 3 chapters. You know, like that's one of the things is that the pacing has changed completely, which is sometimes for the better. Like I don't feel bad about spoiling this because this is a spoiler from 3 years ago. When Omni-Man kills the Guardians of the Globe, that's at the end of like 10 chapters, not at the end of the first episode. That's like after a lot of shit happens. So,
like I feel like
I don't
spoiling
know.
I feel like it doesn't count as a spoiler if it's for episode 1. Like episode 1 is premise of the show territory to the point where it's like there are gonna be surprises, but it's like I don't feel like telling you them is spoiling anything, you know?
Yeah.
Like Omni-Man being evil is like pretty much the entire conceit of season 1 of the show.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the conceit of the show practically. Like to the point where
we just see a lot less of him recently.
Yeah.
Him being evil isn't really a theme anymore because he's not really evil anymore.
Yeah.
Well, he's less
evil. They kind of just have him on like a secondary half of some episodes, which I actually think is good. I actually think that's a good way of splitting your time is like first half of the episode, that's your conceit of the episode. Otherwise, it's, you know, we get to see whatever the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. We get to have like an Omni-Man and Alan the Alien break for like 10 minutes at the end of the ep. They did a ridiculously long one earlier that was like almost all talking scenes now that I think about it, with like very little action happening. Like it was pretty much all dialogue. So like
pretty much
the fun thing The fun thing about that, I've also realized that like they communicate telepathically a lot of the time, meaning they don't have to animate shit. It's just two still frames.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's how
Which
engrossing
is, I don't know.
this like
I'm
that
glad
Invincible
that
is as a series, dialogue wise. Sorry, I'm like barreling over
Yeah.
you. It's like engrossing in that way because you don't even really notice that they haven't really animated anything for the last 10 minutes of show.
I'm glad that they're putting out more stuff, but like the fact that it's like good animation or see the show more than once every 3 years is like, I don't know.
So I think if we had in the West, if we had more of a Japanese style of things, like a more Eastern style of producing animation, I think that it would work better. In that, like, if they were doing the main show as like, look, we're just telling the story here. These scenes will be perfected later. We're gonna put out like an OVA that literally focuses on this fight scene and nothing else, and it will be great. However, the show must go on. Like, if it were like a Dragon Ball situation where it's like, yeah, sure, Z kind of botched it, but like they came back around and did a movie on it, and that was pretty good, you know? Like, that was much better. They were able to give it the focus it deserved. But like, the thing about Invincible is I would feel a lot better. Like, I don't feel very bad about it now, but I would feel better about it if there were like a chance of like, yeah, we're gonna make it good, and then we're gonna make it perfect. We'll come back through, we'll revise, you know, but it's like corporations don't do that. That's not how you run an animated series, you know? And so like once it's out, it's out. But I do agree. I do agree that I'm a little disappointed that it doesn't look as good as it used to. But on the other hand, that disappointment is the reason I feel good about it is this. That disappointment is severely outweighed by their options were cut the budget or kill the show. I would much rather have the entirety of the comic adapted. That seems like a pipe dream even now with the way streaming services cancel animated series. But like, I would rather have the entire comic run adapted in a mediocre animation style than the first like chapter of the comic adapted greatly and then we get nothing else ever. That's just it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, I would genuinely prefer the quantity over quality because I think it'll improve the quality of the overall thing to have it be like, here's like an 8-season animated feature, you know?
Because that's honestly what I care about more is the story. Like, I don't know. So long as we're not getting to like animatic territories, we're fine, I think, you know?
Yeah, if it gets any worse than it currently is, we're at like a precipice right now where like I say this, but like, if it gets any worse, I fear we're gonna have to like do something. Like I fear we're gonna have like an intervention with Amazon Prime about budgeting for their animated series.
Yeah, about like brother, come on, this is one of your highest grossing series. Give it.
Maybe people would kill me for this, but if I were in charge of Amazon, I'd cancel The Boys and give that funding to Invincible. We don't need two like morally ambiguous superhero shows. They're very different shows, but we don't need two of them. Nearly fucking over, but like I don't know, I associate the two because they're so similar in premise. And on top of that, real quick, they like on top of being very similar in premise, they fucking like announced that the season 2 for Invincible was going to get delayed and budget cut, and then announced that, hey, we're doing The Boys season 2 and The Boys Gen V and the like Boys animated series all together this year instead.
Yeah.
And, like, the animated bit especially was like, okay, all right, somebody at Amazon just likes The Boys a little bit more than they like Invincible. That's the problem.
Yeah. Like, I would say that is if, like, if we could just give up on the side series of The Boys, I would be fine with that. Normal The Boys is fine, you know. But, yeah, I don't know. They're just giving funding to everything that isn't Invincible. And it's like, dude, you're fucking Amazon. Give it to Invincible. Hire the porn graphics designers back. Bring them back.
You're making me take down my Twitch VODs because you can't afford to pay for server space, but like, or you don't want to keep paying for server space and cut costs, and yet you like your shows look like shit. I get that those are two very different departments, but still.
It's like a pain in the ass because it's like, I don't know, I like my Invincible and I liked when it was like a really pretty looking series too, but now it's gone from like, wow, a really pretty series with a good story to you know, it's got a good story. Sort of thing. But yeah,
I think it still has its moments. I think it still definitely has its moments where like it is an attractive show to look at, but primarily it's definitely lost a little bit of its luster.
Yeah, after watching like cartoon blocks from like the 2000s and like 2010s, we've really kind of downgraded on animation in everything except for 3D. I think 3D animation is like really good. Like I think we've gotten really incredible with 3D animation to the point where we're looping back around to having extra style on top of it. So now we've gone away from the hyper realistic to looping back around to having hyper realistic and style. But like as of 2D animation, we went from cell animation to like flash animation. I don't know, man.
There's a very obvious reason that happened, and it's cost cutting. We live in a world where things cost less and are worth, like, where things cost more and are worth less.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's just the way things are. And 3D animation, it gets its focus mostly because it's cheaper. It's just so much cheaper to produce 3D animation than 2D. Like, frame for frame, it costs so much less.
You know, that's it. You have the one model, and that's all, compared to, like, having to animate each frame.
Yeah. But I don't know. I find that, like, 3D can have a lot of care put into it, but it has the capacity for a lot less care. I feel like the care floor for 2D animation, where you're like, I guess the care floor for like cell animation, I should say, like drawn frames, cell animation, the care level is a lot higher. And
yeah,
I find that it's not a lot higher as much as like the floor for it is a lot higher, meaning like the bare minimum amount of give a shit you can have while working on this and still making it look passable is way high because you have to sit there and ink it by hand.
Yeah.
And very precariously too. And like I get that. I understand it. I like that artists have an easier workflow now. I miss 2D animation so dearly, and I hate that it's like in the mainstream it's like a completely dying art form outside of like shitty like children's flash animated shows and shit. But even then those are moving to mostly CG.
Yeah. And like it's funny because even shows that were like Adventure Time and things like that were animated digitally, it still looks better than like it does now because they were trying to keep up with cell animated things from before. They like there was a level of quality that people were used to, and now we've just kind of lost it. And I don't know. I don't feel great about it.
Yeah, me neither. I think the animation industry as a whole is on an upturn as of recent. So like I don't want to harp too long on how the animation industry sucks right now because like I feel like we're on an upturn. I feel like we were in the decline and we still kind of are a little bit, but I feel like generally things will get better from here for animation. I don't know. That's just where my vibe's at, where my head's at for this whole thing. But speaking of animated series as of recently, you want to talk about Woke Spider-Man?
Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about Woke Spider-Man, so you can fill me in on this.
I'll be really quick. I didn't want to watch Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the Disney Plus animated series initially, because the main lead actor came out and was like, yeah, I initially didn't want to take the part because I thought that, or I didn't want to audition because like I thought that like the show might be like annoying and woke, and then it turned out to not be. And that's a very bad quote. It's a very bad sounding quote. I watched the show. This show is not like, there's no way that if you use the word woke derogatorily regularly, that you look at this show and don't go, yeah, this is annoying woke garbage. Because it's like, that's the way those people think. They see like one person of color and immediately it's like, woke, woke, woke. And it's like, I can't think of a single character in this show that isn't some kind of minority, with the exception of our main character, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But like, that's Peter Parker. You can't not make
You can't
him,
like, you can't touch Peter Parker too much, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. And
when it comes to like the iconography of how he looks, I guess, specifically.
That really pissed me off and turned me off to the show entirely. I saw like a frame of it and I was like, that's kind of funky animation. I would be interested in seeing what that looks like. And then I heard that and I was like, all right, I have zero interest actually.
But I started watching the show and it's good.
Yeah.
It's really good. I actually really quite enjoy it. The writing's really good. The fight scenes are good. The choreography's good. There are a lot of like lines people are drawing of comparison with the Flash TV series, which is funny.
Wow.
I don't know what that's about. There was something apparently like that happened in the latest episode.
CW series?
Yeah, like the CW Flash series. People are saying that it was like that, you know, in a way, and I can't wait to find out how that is. But it's a very new take. It's a very different take on the Spider-Man story, while also still, I guess it's not new as much as just fresh. It's a very fresh take on the Spider-Man story, where like it's still like it's not beat for beat the same, but the archetypes are still there. You still got a Norman Osborn, you still got a Harry Osborn, you've still got a Spider-Man, you got a Rhino, you got a fucking like a Curtis Connors fucking lizard. You got like fucking, you've got this character and that character, and it's all happening, like it's all there. All the pieces are there. They're just like a little bit different from how you recognize them, and it's a nice new coat of paint on Spider-Man. I think it's a lot better than it would be if it were what it was originally intended to be, and that being like an MCU prequel series for Spider-Man. Which it's obvious, it's obvious, like in its aesthetic, that like it very clearly was at some point that in its design, and they like swayed away from it. But I think it's good. I think it's good the way it is. I think it's a healthy mix of old and new. I think it's good, watchable anime. The fight scenes are good. The character interactions are fine. Everything's good. Like not fine as in like they're all right. I wouldn't say they're good, but like they're pretty good. They're pretty good. They're pretty all right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like dealing with cultural issues in it that like it's not like quote unquote annoying and woke like that guy said, but like it's fucking it's just it's very class conscious. It's a very like class and like racially conscious show. It is a show about like mostly minority characters. I was about to say the majority of the cast is minorities, and then I realized how that sounded, and I was like, that's a little too rhymey for me, a little too Dr. Seuss for me.
Little too Dr. Seuss.
But like most of our cast is minorities living in fucking New York.
Yeah,
and obviously that's gonna come up. There's like a gang subplot happening. The cops are fucking incompetent dicks. There's fucking crime, a lot of crime, bad traffic. It's New York, But like again, they don't shy away. Is the thing. They're not going out of their way to preach at you about how like New York City sucks or how like gang violence is bad. They're not like going out of their way to talk to you about that stuff or how like billionaires are evil. There just is an evil billionaire and there is a bad gang, and New York kind of just sucks, and the cops are just kind of just bad. Like it's just mimicking reality and not being shy about it, Like I don't really feel like I feel like it's making a point of it, but it's not like it's not the point. It's a point, but it's not the point. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I think you would find it fine. I don't know if it would really be that up your alley necessarily. Like I don't think you're missing out by not watching it. You personally, that is. But like I think if you like Spider-Man enough, give it a swing. Just give it a shot.
Yeah. I don't know. It does seem interesting. I'm more tilted into watching it now that I've heard about it. But yeah. Does it say anything about the direction of Disney? Because that was a concern. We had a friend who was like, oh, it's not woke after we'd heard that. And the friend was like, that just might be where Disney is going lately. Do you think that says anything about it?
Do I think that says anything about where Disney's at? No, I think in the world as a whole, and in the entertainment industry especially, we've taken a very like right-wing slant where the companies have kind of just like the corporations have dropped that "we care about gay people" mask, basically.
Yeah.
Pretty much all together. Yeah. And like we all knew it was like corporate speak, yay, Black History Month, or like yay, Pride Month, but like they didn't really mean it. They're just doing it because that's what you do.
Yeah.
And very clearly, they had done that, but like they all dropped that mask pretty fast. And the ones who didn't were very clear on just like, no, we're for real. But like Disney has been this way. Disney will be this way. Disney is a megacorp that does not deserve your money. I only watch the new Spider-Man series because I don't pay for the Disney Plus account I'm on. I'm a fucking mooch, dude. Yeah. I got nothing to do. Disney's getting that money whether I watch the show or not, really. And I do like the show, and I like the people who work on it enough. And so it's like I see no reasoning not to watch it, honestly. But if you're going to watch it, I would recommend hitting a pirate site up and sailing the seven seas a little bit.
Yeah.
But otherwise, that's my little Spider-Man corner. I thank you for allowing me that, because we've just been talking about TV today. It's been a big TV episode.
It's been a TV day, yeah.
I don't know.
Other than that, I think outside of TV and media, Um, something that's really hit me lately is that we've talked about this on the show a billion times because this is like the huge parts of our lives personally, but now it's kind of
Mhm.
real where the move is like practically here. It's like 2 weeks away for you and a month away from me. And it feels
Closer
weird.
to a month,
It
I'd say,
feels
for me.
you think a month for you?
It could
Okay.
be 2
Then it might be
weeks,
like a
but it's
month and a half
probably
for me.
going to be like three and a half. It's probably going to be like 4-ish. Not a whole month, but like
Yeah.
right around 3 weeks, I think, is a good like marker.
But still, like it's close, and that's weird.
Yeah, it's very strange to be that close to that,
Yeah.
especially when I've been waiting on this move for like 2 years, dude. I knew this
Yeah.
was coming for 2 years. It's just like a slow construction job.
And like honestly, it's weird. I'm starting to get anxious. I'm starting to get that weird like when I was a kid where I would just like get anxious enough about something that I would just throw in the towel and be like, I'm not doing it. But of course I'm not going to do that because I do want to move. It's just like it's so new. It's so different for me, you know? I don't know
Yeah,
if
I mean, you're
getting
like
that at
leaving your
all.
home and like going across the country and going to a completely new place. That's, you know, like not only like a new town, but like a new fucking biome, dude. You're going to be in
Yeah.
a different biome on this earth in like 3 weeks. You're gonna be soaking up humidity and
Yeah.
sun rays like it's nobody's business, dude.
Yeah, no, but like it's wild that it's so close together. And we've been doing things where it's like, oh, the airing of Invincible, this season of Invincible is still going to be airing when we live in the same house. And that's insane.
Could be, depending on the
Like,
episode
I
count.
don't know. Yeah, depending on the episode count. I think it will, because I think this season is going to have more than 10 episodes, but
You really think it's more than 10? All right. I could buy
think
that.
so.
I want it to be. Don't get me wrong, I want it to be. But like, I don't know.
Yeah. But like still, it's wild that it's like here, practically. And then I need to actually start packing.
Yeah, you were talking about that the other night, and I was like, I don't know, that might be a bit early. Like, it's still a month out. I pack so late. We were talking about this, so I don't think we'll spend too much time on it. But I pack so late, dude. I like to pack as late as possible because, okay, so if I'm the type of guy that like, if you say I'll be there at 5, I'll pick you up. We'll go get lunch or like go get like dinner or something and hang out. I will be waiting, like on my phone at my desk, like glancing out the window and like looking at our DMs every 10 minutes for like the last hour or two before 5 o'clock to ensure that like, all right, is he going to cancel or is he going to show early? Let me make sure I'm ready, you know? And I won't really get into anything. I'll get that like paralysis thing about just like, I got something to do in like an hour. I can't even do this thing that'll take me 5 minutes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't bring myself to do it.
Paralysis.
Me
I'm
too, it
kind of
sucks.
getting there with the move though, where it's like I'm kind of getting to the point where it's like I don't want to get too involved into anything. Like I had a dream last night where I had a part-time job again, and like that's something that I've been meaning to do, but it's just not like feasible because it was.
There's no point. You would be at a job. You would be at a job like I don't think you could find a job, honestly, in a month. But that's a tight time period to even find a job, get through training, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you'd have to have something lined up.
Like, it's wild. It's genuinely wild that we're there now. And I'm excited and nervous, but I'm mostly excited, mainly because there's a lot of things that are going to shift in an easier direction. I think I talked about it. Oh, I talked about it on the missing episode. That one of my excited parts of moving is that my family gets. Huh?
We don't talk about our excited parts on the show, dude. We can't be doing that.
Oh.
This is not. I mean, it's not a family-friendly show. This isn't a family show we're doing here, but there might be kids in the audience, dude. Come on.
Christ. No, but like
anyway,
my family,
one of the parts that excites you. Anyway, you were saying.
My family has been a decent, not necessarily barrier, but just like, family stuff gets in the way. And I would say more than the average amount of family stuff that comes up. So a lot of times my issues with schooling and being concentrated on college is that like, I feel like I need to be on call kind of.
On Paul?
But once I'm in Florida, yeah, I'm going to be on Paul. He's my horse.
I know you said on call, but I genuinely believed you said on call until my mouth opened.
Yeah.
It was just funnier to
man.
lean in and go, on Paul?
Fucking on Paul? On
Like
him?
on God?
Why?
Like fucking on Paul?
Yeah.
Really? You're gonna put that on Paul? Anyway. You feel like you need to be on call for family stuff. You were saying?
I'm excited because I'll be able to go to college and be...
Get more knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be able to get my education consistently without having to worry about it or being like, okay, what needs to happen here? Because I do a lot of like physical stuff for my family, and a lot of times it's decently time consuming. So I'm excited to have somewhere where it's like it is physically impossible pretty much for me to not be able to just say, hey, I really can't do that right now. Because once I'm in Florida, I'll be able to ask you or Basil, like, hey, I can't go get groceries today. Do you guys mind? I don't have to be the one who does that.
Yeah.
And that's really nice. It's nice.
You'll be like the only like completely able-bodied person in the house, Or at least able-bodied enough to be able to just do shit any day,
Yeah. Yeah, just like on the fly. And that's great. That's I'm really excited about that because that's going to give me more focus towards my schooling, which I've been needing for a while.
Right.
Is just
gonna finally give you a chance to actually get that degree.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm considering just like dropping all the classes that I've already taken, not even bother transferring credits, because it's just like
I would.
It's like
because it's a waste of money and time if you don't.
Yeah,
at least
but it's
try.
like 12 credits, and if I try to transfer it, then it also transfers the 2 Fs that I have. So I don't know. It's kind of the question of
still
do I
10
want
good
12
credits.
more credits? Yeah.
Like without the 2 Fs, that's still 10 good class credits you have. That's 2 semesters worth, yeah?
No, it's 1.
You're taking 12 classes at once?
No. So credit classes are each class has a different credit hour amount. So like
it's based on credit hours. Okay.
Classes, yeah. Like psychology and stuff are 4 credits when like, an easy ass like fucking I don't know, pottery class is like 2 credit hours.
Still, it's a whole semester. You'll cut a whole semester off your timing. That's like 18 weeks of your life you just get to have.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I'll think about it because I don't know. It's really the question of if I can get rid of those Fs because I genuinely can't do anything about it. If I could do something about it, I would. But otherwise, kind of shit out of luck on that one. Because that one was one that I couldn't do anything about. That was just something in family got in the way, and by the time that I realized that it got in the way, it was too late.
Yeah, shit happens. No, I feel you. You've just been in a rough spot with getting things done, and the move will help with like lowering distractions. I feel.
Yeah.
And it'll make producing the podcast a lot easier too. We talk way too much about the production of the show on the show, so I'll keep it brief. But just like in general, I'll just make that a lot easier. But before we turn this TV off, I want to talk about one more subject that I didn't get to last week for obvious reasons. The Super Bowl! We talked about it a little bit on the Mixie episode. Man, the Super Bowl was really something. That was really a day. Because I woke up on Sunday at like 1 p.m., the usual, and I roll out of bed, and I stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition, and then I sat down at my desk, got the stream open on Tubi of all places because it's like the prime way to watch the Super Bowl this year. And I go on Tubi, I open it up, I'm watching the pre-show shit at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and I'm texting you, and then I'm like talking to Basil in the back. So I'm texting you, I'm like, dude, they were just talking about how like the players have good feet and how they really like their feet. You need to get in here. This is good riff material. And you're like, I don't know, man. I'll be in later. Kind of got like stuff I want to get done first. And I was just like, oh man, are you sure? Are you sure? They're about to do like an interview with the president. I'm sure he'll say something fucking stupid. And you went, oh man, I really don't want to miss that. But like, or like, not that I don't want to miss that, but just like, oh man, I'm gonna have to miss that. Oh well, you'll have to tell me what I missed. And I was like, damn. Like that was my moment where I was like, Jed's not even willing to like hold off for a minute for like, dude, the president is about to say something. Don't you want to dunk on him real quick? Like that was how I knew like, okay, Jed's not interested. And I was telling Basil about stuff as it was happening, and they didn't have the stream open. And so I was just like, holy shit, they just call that guy, they're playing like miniature football outside of the thing. They're doing like mini field goals for fun and betting on them as part of the pre-show. And Basil just goes, And I was like, okay, well, do you know how like
You're
sad it
alone.
is to wake up one year and go, you know what? I've never given a singular fuck about football. I'm actually going to try today. I'm actually going to try to have a good time and watch the Super Bowl, only to have everybody around you who seemed as enthusiastic as you were the day before, suddenly all of them have got their fucking Grinch panties on about the fucking Super Bowl.
So here's the thing: is that was the pre-show, and so I was revved up for the Super Bowl, but like I didn't think that there was stuff going on in the pre. I didn't even know there was a Super Bowl pre-show even until it was like.
Why wouldn't there be? There was like all day coverage.
I don't
Every
know.
network has its own like little thing going on. I just had like a big coughing fit just now, dude. Oh my god. But
Yeah.
dude, I can't get through that. I am a gastrointestinal disaster, dude. What the fuck is up with me?
guess.
I'm so mad.
You're
Always.
you're struggling to live. Just in
Like
general, your
I'm like one
body's
of those
fighting
like
back.
pugs that's like fucking 15 years old and like can't see, can't like shit himself even. Just like that's Joey. Like just kind of kick him over toward his water bowl.
Joey the pug. Yeah.
Joey. Joey's a good
Oh.
name. I think Joey is a good funny name. Joey is like he's Joey. You know.
Yeah.
It's a good
Super Bowl
half-ass
was a
name.
good time.
But the Super Bowl was a good time.
What had
Well, we
happened was
watched
that I had showed up like an hour before, because I wasn't all that interested in the pre-show and I was already doing something. But,
yeah.
what were you gonna say about the Super Bowl?
I was just saying about the Super Bowl. I was continuing our conversation about the Super Bowl. You can go ahead. Like this is actually the direction I was fine going with it. I fucking
Yeah. But it was my first time actually watching the Super Bowl in a way that isn't just like, yeah, I'm sitting here with my family. And it was
I
a
really
decent
tried to
time.
engage
I
with it.
still don't like football. I
don't like football as a
I
sport.
tried
No,
to
just too many
engage.
stop and start. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like you got to the point where it was like, all right, we've been on the last 20 seconds for 20 minutes. How the fuck? And it got to the point where like we got to just past the halftime where it's like, all right, we're like 20-0 right now. I think we know who wins.
We
And then
switched to the Puppy Bowl.
We switched to the Puppy Bowl. And that was a fun time. The Puppy Bowl,
Which was
is a
already
really
over. We were
silly
watching
thing.
fucking Puppy Bowl reruns from earlier that day.
Yeah,
Even.
yeah.
Because the Puppy Bowl ended before the Super Bowl because they're fucking timing out. I'm sure a regular football game isn't all that bad. I've seen football games before. They can get pretty bad, but not that bad. Not fucking 30 minutes to move the clock 1 second in like what is supposed to be a 10-minute. Like, can you even call it a 10-minute quarter if you're going to take 2 hours to get through it? That genuinely feels fucked.
Wild. It is wild that they do that. I didn't know that they could do that. I didn't even know that there was a timer on football because I knew it took such a long time. I didn't know that it was like, yeah, each quarter should be ideally 10 minutes. It's like,
Yeah, 10-minute quarter, except the like actual like it's a 4-hour game. Like you cut the halftime, you cut the pre-show, you cut the after. The game itself, including all the pauses, is 4 hours long. The players actually play the game on the field for 40 minutes of that 4 hours. And I feel like that's fucking egregious.
It is pretty absurd. And like, actually, one of my favorite things to come out of the Super Bowl, the actual football part, we'll talk about the other major part to come out of it. But like, my favorite part to come out of the actual football part of the Super Bowl is the microphones being on the players. Because the players are genuinely just like fucking around on the field. I don't know if you guys have ever like watched footage with the players' mics on, but they're just kind of walking around and like doing silly quips to each other. And like to the other team, you would think that they would be a little bit like at least competitive, but a lot of them are like, so have you guys played like you guys played the new COD?
Yeah, no, there was that one where those two guys were beside each other. Like one of them just goes, "Listen to Spotify." No, man, I'm on Musi. Full music? No, Musi. It's like a radio thing. You don't get to pick the music. I think it was like he called him like he said something that I don't think I can repeat.
Yeah.
He called him low income for that shit.
Yeah,
and that is some low income behavior to be fucking. I got a Tubi or not a Tubi, a fucking Musi.
Yeah.
Tubi is also some pretty low income shit. To be fair,
Tubi kind of sucks.
Every time I open Tubi, I feel like I've just entered a fucking crack house. I feel like I'm in fucking like I feel like I've just walked into like a low income neighborhood. I feel like I just found a listing for a house on Zillow that was like, it costs $2. Why is this like Detroit home $1? Oh, that's why.
Why is this $1?
Why is this streaming service free? Oh, that's why. You know?
That's why it's fucking Tubi.
It's fucking Tubi.
Do you want to talk about the best part of the Super Bowl?
I do want to talk about the halftime show. Yes, I want to talk about the God, what was it? It was there was a second layer of company. There was like the Apple Music. It was the Apple Music halftime show, but it was within the like something
Verizon
sponsored
halftime show or something.
Oh no, it was the Verizon Super Bowl 49. The Verizon Super Bowl 49. Is it 49 or do we? No, it was 49. Verizon
Yeah,
Super
it was
Bowl,
49 because we made the joke.
Yeah. Verizon Super Bowl 49, sponsored by Verizon Apple Music halftime show. That was the name of it. The Kendrick Lamar, it was Kendrick Lamar at the Verizon Super Bowl 59 Apple Music halftime show. That was the full name of the thing. That is more, there are two companies in there. There are two corporate sponsors in that fucking name. And it's ridiculous. Like, I don't know, the Super Bowl is just kind of silly in that way. But the halftime show was really good. Obviously, as like somebody who's into hip hop, there was a lot of talk and a lot of muttering for like the past few months after it got like announced that he was doing the Super Bowl in like November, like after his album dropped, or December. Once that got announced, people were already like, oh, I want him to play this song. I want him to play fucking Luther. I want him to play Man at the Garden. I want him to play this. I want him to play that. And he hit them all, including Not Like Us.
Yeah.
He hit every single one that I think that I would want to hear. There are more that I would have loved to hear. I think he could squeeze another 2 minutes of medley in there of like 2 or 3 different extra songs and be fine. But it felt like I feel like that would bloat it almost. It's a very contained thing. It sent a very concise, clear message, and I feel like that's more important. You know, I feel like that's the more important takeaway, is that, you know, I think the messaging of the whole thing, of course, just like the overarching obvious, just like, hey, America as a nation is going the wrong direction. We should do something about that. Obviously being the broad strokes of it, and that being like right up front. But there are layers to that shit, dude. I've watched that performance like 9 times, and I'm still seeing new shit.
Yeah.
Like I'm seeing them like put up shit like wrong way in lights in the audience and shit like 3 different times during very specific portions. That. And like when that, like a wrong way sign, like wrong way written out with like the like turn like road sign wrong way thing on it. And like they're making like American flags out of dancers. There were like multiple references to like to the Big 16, like just paying tribute, you know. And I think I think that's very sweet that Kendrick got like a personal thing out of it too. With that, of like being able to honor some dead friends with just like, you know, the Big 16. Here they are. Here are my boys. Here's me and my boys. Like I think that's I think that's the single best thing about Kendrick Lamar as an artist, is that he's very earnest in what he does. He means every goddamn word of it. I feel like there's nothing that demonstrates that more than the fact that he was representing Compton at the Super Bowl, and more importantly, that like he saw an opportunity during his Super Bowl halftime performance and went, you know what? This is going to be the biggest performance of my career, probably. This is going to be the most amount of eyes that are ever on my work. I would like to pay homage to my 16 dead friends as many times as possible during that. I want it to be as close as though those men are on the stage with me as possible without being disrespectful. And I think that was handled wonderfully. I think that is a real shining example of who Kendrick Lamar, the man under all of it, is. And, you know, he's not shy about who he is. It's pretty obvious what kind of a guy he is. Oh, yeah. But like, you know, it's all the ways that he exemplifies that while also managing to still be a brilliant artist at what he does. And you know, I wholly agree with that. But the most important thing about the halftime show is that it was hype as hell the whole time.
It was.
And it made all the right people mad in all the right ways.
Yeah. Oh man, I feel bad for calling out my mom like this, but she liked the show and liked the meaning behind it. She just is not. She does not like rap like at all. And I heard her listening to like a Instagram reel because that's what she uses, and she was like, I heard the halftime show, like in there, and I was like, what you watching? She's like, oh, it's some makeup video. They use such stupid audio for these. And I was like, man, you really don't like Kendrick. And she was like, oh, was that Kid? I'm sorry.
That's the thing, is like even like white moms in gated communities go, oh, that's Kendrick. I retract my statement. Like, that's how feared this man has become. That is how feared and respected as an individual that he has become. He was respected before. The fear is new. The fear is pretty new. There was like a vague fear about him as just like, oh, you know, he's affiliated, of course, you know, and that can be a problem for some people. But like obviously, and he hangs around a lot of other artists who are also affiliated, and so that's not really a threat to anybody, really, one way or the other. That doesn't make him more or less dangerous than your average rapper, you know, from where he's from, and that's fine. But like, the way he like disemboweled Drake publicly in like the town square recently, like over the past 7 months, he's been dragging Drake's corpse through the street for 7 months, and they gave him an opportunity to do it in front of the biggest audience possible. And I love that. The hater inside me loves this shit.
Yeah. Well, because
there is a level,
Drake, honestly.
Yeah, fuck Drake. I even know a lot, like, I've heard a lot of people say, like, I know the common sentiment is fuck Drake, but there are a lot of people who, like, were pre-Kendrick, like, they were just like, man, I think it was, like, God, who was it? It was another big artist, who doesn't really get along with Kendrick all that well, but was like, I think it might have even been Lil Wayne, but somebody said, fucking, like, hey, man, I'm not the biggest Kendrick fan, but somebody had to say something about Drake. That shit's been going on too long.
Yeah.
That shit's been going on just too long. Somebody needs to do something about him. And as much as I don't like Kendrick, I'm glad it was him. You know, that was the sentiment that like his opponents are sharing, is that like, yeah, he did the right thing. Good on him. So that should just like,
yeah.
Between Kendrick is amazing at what he does, and Kendrick hates Drake with an extreme passion and is willing to put all of his artistic prowess toward that goal of hating Drake the most. And the entire music industry and the public at large generally having a distaste for Drake, at least a little bit, even if they didn't know anything about like the allegations, you know? Like that was just the public consensus that like Drake is like poppy radio trash, dude. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. You know, I think that all coalesced into like one big melting pot of just the perfect storm for Kendrick Lamar to have his biggest year of all time. And I'm glad he got it. I'm glad he's had this time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, knowing Kendrick Lamar and his career pattern, he gone. Yeah, he's not staying.
Yeah.
We're going to have him here for like long enough for the tour to finish, and then we're not going to hear from that man for a decade. He's gonna be 40 the next time we see him.
I thought you were going for a closing statement of the show. I wasn't just saying we don't. I was saying we don't have time. We don't have time.
I thought you said he gone, and that's why I said he gone like that.
He gone. No, we don't.
You were
we don't have time.
We don't have time. We're like well over time. We're well over time right now. But that's okay.
Vox
we got a couple
of
edits to make.
Kendrick.
We'll be fine. Yeah, you should have brought this up so late, dude. I've been trying to work it in this whole episode. We've been on TV time, and I've been enjoying that. And I figured I thought about it like an hour ago, and then I realized that if we stayed in TV land for another hour, I could do that turn this TV off joke, and then like we can get moving on the Kendrick stuff, and that would be a good. Man, we work way too hard on segues on the show. What else do we work hard on, Jed? Give the people an outro.
The best part. We work hard on the fact that we have a card page. I worked really hard on that. I did see that segue. Yeah. I'm trying to do the fucking outro. Let me do the outro.
All right, man. All right.
Let me do the fucking outro.
All right.
Find our socials on the card page under about the hosts.
Being so clunky about your outro.
We've done this outro bit before. You can find us on the card page. And the links will be down below. This show comes out every Sunday at 3 p.m. so long as we don't explode or something. And that's about it. We exploded
happened.
last week. That's what happened. Sorry, y'all. There was a gas leak.
More of an implosion, really, but either way, that's where you can find the show.
Either way.
Thanks for joining us, everybody, this week. Oh man, that was a good one. See what I did there?
Yeah,
You got that,
I saw
right?
what you did there.
You got it?
Yes, I fucking got it!